The mysterious watches seen on Sumerian gods. The mysterious carvings of ancient Sumer have long fascinated researchers, historians, and seekers of hidden knowledge. Yet among the countless depictions etched into stone, none have sparked as much debate as the strange objects often found around the wrists of Sumerian figures. These rounded, detailed forms appear uncannily similar to modern wristwatches, complete with circular faces, intricate markings, and band-like structures. For many, these carvings represent far more than artistic ornamentation. They may be evidence of advanced timekeeping devices that existed thousands of years before such technology should have appeared. The Sumerians were among the earliest sophisticated civilizations on Earth, credited with creating complex mathematical systems, early astronomy, advanced architecture, and one of the world's first writing systems. They carefully tracked celestial movements, divided time into the 60-part structure still used today, and possessed an extraordinary awareness of cosmic cycles. Because of this, the possibility that they may have developed or been shown an advanced method of keeping time is not easily dismissed by those who study the mysterious symbols found in their carvings. Across stone reliefs, royal monuments, and depictions of divine or semi-divine beings, several figures are shown wearing circular wrist objects that stand out from traditional jewelry. These circular devices often contain a central hub surrounded by evenly spaced petals or spokes, creating an unmistakable resemblance to a modern watch face. Their placement on the wrist is consistent and intentional, suggesting purpose rather than decoration. In some carvings, small protrusions appear on the sides of these objects, similar to winding crowns or adjustment mechanisms, further igniting the theory that the Sumerians possessed knowledge of advanced timekeeping far beyond their era. Those who support this interpretation argue that these carvings may depict ancient technologies bestowed upon Sumerian elites or celestial figures that visited the region. The Sumerians themselves wrote extensively about sky beings who came from above, beings who shared knowledge and guided early humanity. If these accounts are taken at face value, then the depiction of wristwatch-like objects could be a record of real interactions between ancient people and visitors equipped with advanced tools. Others believe the objects may have been functional devices created by the Sumerians themselves, perhaps early instruments for tracking celestial events, ritual timings, or agricultural cycles. Their intricate design and repeated appearance across multiple archaeological finds suggests significance far exceeding that of simple artistic embellishment. Skeptics attempt to explain these objects as bracelets, seals, or symbolic rosettes, but the complexity, uniformity, and mechanical appearance of the carvings continue to challenge those explanations. The objects do not resemble typical jewelry of the time, nor do they match known ceremonial items. Their detailed geometric designs, precise symmetry, and consistent wrist placement remain difficult to dismiss. The mysterious Sumerian watches highlight the vastness of ancient knowledge and remind modern observers that history may hold far more secrets than previously imagined. The strange encounters with the rock apes of Vietnam. Deep within the dense jungles and shadowed mountains of Vietnam, a mysterious presence has lingered for decades, whispered among soldiers, villagers, and tribespeople alike. These beings, known as the rock apes, have become one of the most enduring and unsettling legends to emerge from the Vietnam War. Often referred to as the Vietnam Bigfoot or the Wild Man of Vietnam, these creatures are said to roam the most remote regions of the country, moving through the foliage with remarkable stealth and intelligence. Though some dismiss them as myth or wartime imagination, countless encounters and tangible traces suggest a deeper, more mysterious reality. The origins of rock ape reports stretch back to the height of the Vietnam War, when American soldiers operating in the thick jungle terrain began to encounter strange humanoid figures that defied explanation. These beings, often described as muscular and covered in reddish or dark hair, stood upright like humans yet moved with the effortless grace of wild forest creatures. Their eyes were said to reflect an uncanny intelligence, watching patrols with quiet, calculated curiosity. Soldiers described seeing them perched on rocks, weaving through the vines, or rushing through the underbrush with astonishing speed. One of the most famous accounts surfaced in the year 1966 near the border with Laos. A group of American soldiers reported repeated encounters with rock apes that seemed far too coordinated and fearless to be ordinary animals. The creatures were described as powerful, broad-shouldered beings capable of leaping great distances and moving silently through rugged terrain. According to the soldiers, the presence of these creatures created a deep sense of unease, as though they stood on the boundary between animal and something more human-like. Their intense eyes, said to glow faintly in the low jungle light, left unforgettable impressions on those who witnessed them. Yet the soldiers were not alone in their experiences. Vietnamese civilians, along with numerous indigenous tribes, had already spent centuries passing down stories of similar beings living beyond the edges of their villages. These tales, remarkably consistent across generations, spoke of forest dwellers who lived in groups, communicated through deep vocalizations, and rarely approached humans unless provoked. To many locals, the rock apes were not legends, but an accepted part of the natural world, rare, elusive, and profoundly intelligent. Beyond eyewitness testimonies, intriguing physical evidence has added weight to the mystery. Researchers and soldiers alike have reported finding large footprints, unusual hair samples, and disturbances in the jungle environment that seem to exceed the capabilities of known wildlife. Some prints appeared broader and more human-like than those of typical primates, while certain strands of hair tested unlike any documented species. These findings, though contested, lend powerful support to the idea that an undiscovered primate may be inhabiting the wilderness of Vietnam. As wartime encounters grew more frequent, soldiers often found themselves grappling with emotions they could not fully explain. They described nights filled with strange calls echoing through the trees, rhythmic stone tapping, or the eerie sense of being followed by unseen watchers. Many patrols felt as though the jungle itself was alive with hidden intelligence, observing them from just beyond the reach of their vision. When rock apes finally emerged from the foliage, towering and powerful, even the most seasoned soldiers felt a primal fear stir within them. Despite these encounters, the creatures always vanished as quickly as they appeared, disappearing into the endless green labyrinth of the Vietnamese wilderness. Their fleeting presence left soldiers bewildered, unable to reconcile their military training with the surreal experience of facing unknown forest beings. For some, the encounters never faded, haunting their memories long after they left the war behind. The mystery of the rock apes remains unanswered, compelling modern researchers and explorers to venture into the remote regions of Vietnam, seeking further clues. Native American encounters with the skunk ape. For generations, the Native American tribes of the southeastern United States have preserved a series of legends describing strange beings that roamed the wetlands, forests, and swamps long before modern settlers arrived. Among these legends, stories that appear to reference the creature now widely known as the skunk ape have taken on special significance. Researchers often point to these tales as proof that the creature has been witnessed for hundreds of years. While the connections are sometimes exaggerated, there are indeed Native American accounts that align remarkably well with modern descriptions of the creature. The first tribe frequently mentioned in discussions of the creature is the Miccosukee. Some researchers have claimed that the Miccosukee told stories of a mysterious swamp-dwelling being known as the Shawanoki. According to popular retellings, this name has been translated as a creature of the wetlands, lurking in the thick marshes and dense patches of sawgrass. These translations, however, are not accurate. The true meaning of the word Shawanoki is snapping mouth, a name that the Miccosukee primarily used to describe hidden alligators, snapping turtles, or other creatures capable of biting with powerful jaws. The confusion likely arose from the simple fact that the Miccosukee people lived in an environment dominated by swamps. Nearly all of their surrounding wilderness consisted of marshland, making it natural for many of their stories and warnings to involve animals found in these ecosystems. Because the skunk ape is frequently reported in the same type of environment, some researchers mistakenly linked the Shawanoki with the creature. Yet the two beings are entirely separate within Miccosukee tradition. The Shawanoki served largely as a reminder to respect the hidden dangers of the swamp, rather than representing a towering humanoid creature. The second tribal group associated with skunk ape legends offers a far more compelling connection. Among the Seminole people, stories of a being known as the Esti Kapkaki have been passed down for countless generations. Translated directly, Estikapkaki means tall man, and this being is portrayed as an imposing humanoid figure that watched over the forests and swamps. The tall man was not simply an animal, but a powerful supernatural guardian with deep ties to the land. According to Seminole tradition, those who attempted to approach or follow the tall man often found that he vanished swiftly into the mist or slipped into the shadows of the swamp with uncanny ease. His movements appeared more graceful than those of any ordinary person, suggesting an otherworldly nature. In some stories, he was said to guide people away from danger, while in others, he served as a stern reminder that the wilderness should be treated with respect. These legends paint the tall man as both mysterious and awe-inspiring, a being whose presence commanded attention. The Seminoles also had several alternate names for this mysterious figure, each reflecting a different aspect of his nature. Some referred to him as the Sand People or the Mangrove People, implying a group of beings rather than a single entity. These names may represent different clans or variations of the same mysterious species. Other titles, such as the People Eaters, appear to be warnings describing the tall man's role as a protector of sacred lands who could act harshly when provoked. These darker descriptions emphasize the belief that the tall man was not merely an observer, but an active force capable of defending the wilderness with great determination. When viewed together, the Miccosukee and Seminole legends reveal a complex history of encounters with mysterious beings inhabiting the swamps of Florida and Louisiana. Although only the Seminole stories clearly describe a creature resembling the modern skunk ape, both tribes reflect a deep awareness of the unseen forces that shaped their environment. Did the biblical story of Noah come from the Sumerians and Babylon? The question of whether the biblical story of Noah originated from far older Sumerian and Babylonian traditions has fascinated researchers for decades. One of the most familiar tales within Judeo-Christian writings, the account of a great flood, describes a moment when all of humanity faced a devastating catastrophe that reshaped the world. The biblical version, found in the book of Genesis, recounts the survival of Noah and his family aboard a massive vessel built at divine instruction. Yet many historians and archaeologists have suggested that the biblical narrative may not be the original version of this ancient event. Instead, they argue that it may be a later retelling of a much older story born in the cradle of civilization, deep within Sumer and Babylon. In the modern day, discussions surrounding the story of Noah often center on several details that seem exaggerated or mistranslated. The dimensions of Noah's Ark, described as more than 450 feet long and 75 feet wide, appear beyond the capabilities of early civilizations without enormous communal effort. The claim that every species of animal on Earth could be gathered, housed, and cared for by a single family also raises questions. These concerns have inspired many researchers to consider that the biblical version might have been altered throughout centuries of oral storytelling and scribal transmission, losing essential context preserved more clearly in older Mesopotamian traditions. Historians now widely agree that the biblical flood narrative appears to come from two combined sources, the Jehovistic document and the priestly document. These two strands were written centuries apart. The older Jehovistic version is believed to date to the early Hebrew monarchy, around the 8th or 9th century before Christ. The priestly version, however, was written after the year 586 before Christ, following the Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem and the subsequent captivity of the Judean people. During this period, Hebrew scribes and scholars lived within Babylon itself, surrounded by Babylonian stories, myths, and traditions. Because of the historical circumstances, the priestly version of the flood story appears heavily influenced by Babylonian culture. It uses legal language, referring to the relationship between humanity and the divine as a covenant, reflecting the legalistic environment of Babylonian society. It also avoids using the name revealed to Moses, choosing instead the more ancient term Elohim, which would have been appropriate to earlier eras of Hebrew history. Meanwhile, the Jehovistic document shows signs of later additions, such as references to clean and unclean animals, distinctions that Hebrew tradition did not formally establish until the time of Moses. This inconsistency alone strongly suggests that the older version of the story was modified as it passed through generations. When comparing the Jehovistic document to ancient Babylonian writings, The parallels are striking. The Babylonian account centers on a king named Xisuthros, who lived during the 10th generation of ancient rulers in Sumer. His story predates the earliest biblical writings by thousands of years. In this tradition, Xisuthros receives a warning in a dream from the supreme deity, foretelling a catastrophic flood that would arrive on the 15th day of the month of Dacius, corresponding roughly to the month of May in the ancient Macedonian calendar. In preparation, Xisuthros is instructed to compile the history of humanity, preserve it safely, and then construct an enormous ship. This vessel is described as more than 1,000 meters long and 400 meters wide, a massive floating structure built with the assistance of an entire civilization. He is told to bring livestock, birds, and supplies capable of supporting years of travel. This detail matches archaeological understanding far more closely than the later biblical version. Domesticated animals would be essential for rebuilding civilization following a global catastrophe, while wild species could repopulate naturally once the land returned. Once the ship was completed, Xisuthros and his family entered it, sealing themselves inside just before the flood arrived. The waters swept across the land, but according to the story, they receded almost as swiftly as they came. Like Noah, Xisuthros released birds to test the land. The first flight returned with no place to rest. The second brought back clay-stained feet. The third did not return, signaling dry land. When Xisuthros emerged, he traveled with his family to a sacred mountain where he offered a sacrifice. There, according to the ancient account, he and his closest kin transcended into the realm of the gods and vanished from the earthly world. His companions later searched for him, receiving a divine message instructing them to recover the records buried in the city of Sippar and rebuild their lands. This detail aligns closely with archaeological findings, as Sippar is a real Sumerian city that once served as a center of solar worship. Through centuries of retelling, the Babylonian version passed from Berosus to Apollodorus, to Alexander Polyhistor, to Julius Africanus, eventually reaching the early Christian historian Eusebius. Although much of the original text is lost, the surviving Armenian translation preserves the key elements of the tale. The similarities between the Babylonian myth and the Jehovistic flood narrative are simply too extensive to ignore. Both describe a righteous man warned of a coming deluge, instructed to build a vessel, guided by divine messages, releasing birds to test the receding waters, and ultimately preserving human knowledge and future civilization. Even the location of landing, often linked to mountainous regions such as Armenia, Ararat, or other ancient sacred peaks, remains consistent across versions. Taken together, these connections present a compelling case that the biblical story of Noah did indeed originate from far older Sumerian and Babylonian traditions. The sighting of a flying humanoid above New York. On the 12th of September, in the year 1880, the New York Times published one of the most unusual and captivating reports of the 19th century. It detailed a mass sighting of a mysterious figure soaring through the skies over New Jersey on the day prior. According to the article, numerous reputable witnesses watched an unmistakable human-shaped form floating at an altitude of roughly 1,000 feet. The publication suggested that perhaps a resident of New York City had perfected a homemade ornithopter and taken to the skies as part of an elaborate publicity stunt. Yet, as the details unfolded, it became clear that this encounter exceeded the boundaries of ordinary invention. Witnesses described the airborne figure as undeniably human in outline, yet equipped with an enormous pair of wings resembling those of a bat. These wings moved with graceful, swimming-like motions, each deliberate flap keeping the figure aloft as he circled above astonished spectators. The crowds were mesmerized not only by the mechanical elegance of the flight, but also by the unnervingly vivid view of the flyer's face. They consistently reported that the man wore an expression that appeared intense, focused, and strangely stern, as though he were resolutely pushing forward on a mission only he understood. One of the most striking details given by the New York Times article was the coloration of the mysterious pilot. Witnesses claimed he appeared entirely black from head to toe, his skin, his clothing, and the wings themselves all blending into a uniform, dark silhouette. There was no evidence of paint or artificial coating, leading observers to believe that the pilot may have been an African-American man flying with wings crafted from matching dark materials. Whatever the truth, the site left an indelible impression on hundreds who watched him glide effortlessly before drifting toward New Jersey and disappearing from view. No inventor ever claimed responsibility, no craft was recovered, and no further explanation surfaced. The Winged Man of 1880 remained a mystery. Even more intriguing is the earlier sighting that took place on the 29th of July of the same year in Louisville, Kentucky. This account came from the Courier-Journal and involved two credible eyewitnesses, C.A. Youngman and Bob Flexner. While outdoors, they observed a dark form moving irregularly through the sky. As it drifted closer, they realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. A man surrounded by a framework of mechanical devices and enormous flapping wings. The pilot appeared visibly distressed, manipulating levers and components in frantic attempts to stabilize his flight. The machinery seemed incomplete or experimental, with exposed parts stretching across his arms and torso. Despite the apparent struggle, the Winged Man managed to remain airborne for several minutes before gliding out of sight. These two sightings, separated by hundreds of miles yet united by strikingly similar descriptions, suggest a connected series of test flights. It is possible that the Louisville sighting represented an early, unstable trial of the ornithopter, with the more refined and confident display appearing weeks later above New York. The consistency of witness testimony, the detailed observations of the apparatus, and the absence of any public claim by an inventor all contribute to the enduring mystery. To this day, the Winged Man of 1880 stands as one of the most puzzling aerial mysteries in American history, a figure whose daring flights hinted at technology far ahead of its time and whose identity remains forever hidden within the clouds. The strange discovery of the underwater Stonehenge. The mystery of the Michigan Lake Stonehenge began in the year 2007 when researcher and Professor Mark Holley, an underwater archaeology specialist from Northwestern Michigan University, secured the federal and private grants necessary to launch a new sonar mapping expedition beneath the waters of Lake Michigan. His initial goal was entirely practical. By using advanced remote sensing technology, he hoped to construct a detailed three-dimensional model of the lake floor, believing this digital map could help researchers identify potential shipwrecks dating back to the era of the American Civil War. The project was meant to be routine, a straightforward survey of the submerged landscape. However, as soon as the investigation commenced, Professor Mark Holley and his research partner, Brian Abbott, noticed something that immediately stood out. At a depth of roughly 40 feet within the Grand Traverse Bay, sonar scans revealed a rounded structure with vertical protrusions. At first glance, the two researchers assumed they had stumbled upon a sunken vessel. Excited by the possibility of discovering a new wreck, they quickly dispatched a team of divers to descend into the cold waters and document the structure with high-resolution photographs. When the divers resurfaced and shared their images, it became clear that this was no forgotten ship. Instead, they had found what appeared to be a deliberate arrangement of enormous stone slabs. Standing upright in a circular pattern, each slab was positioned around a central, far taller monolith. The eerie isolation of the structure only deepened the mystery. There were no nearby stone formations, no cliffs, no boulder fields, and no geological features that could explain why such massive stones would stand alone on an otherwise featureless lakebed. While inspecting the stones, one of the divers brushed away algae and barnacles from one of the smaller slabs. Beneath the growth, the diver discovered an unmistakable carving. Once brought to the surface and reviewed more carefully, the carving appeared to depict a North American mastodon. This was particularly striking, as mastodons disappeared from the region more than 10,000 years ago. Professor Mark Holley later shared that the discovery unsettled him. Swimming through the silent water, surrounded by a perfect ring of stones on an empty lake floor, gave the entire site an uncanny atmosphere. Realizing the significance of their find, the researchers set out to document the stones as precisely as possible. They recorded measurements, distances, and surface markings, hoping to construct a digital reconstruction that future teams could study in greater detail. Unfortunately, because the project lacked experienced archaeological divers, they could not safely excavate the site or clean the stones without risking harm to the structure. After the discovery, however, progress stalled. Some researchers argued that ancient petroglyphs were not typical for the upper Midwest and suggested the carvings might be natural damage caused by underwater growths. Others noted that the stones stood at perfect 90-degree angles, something that would be nearly impossible if they had simply fallen from above the water's surface. Geological records show that Lake Michigan was covered by glaciers until roughly 12,000 years ago, raising difficult questions about how any human civilization could have constructed an underwater stone circle during that era. Despite this skepticism, Professor Holly and Brian Abbott hope to continue studying the site. Their plans met another obstacle when local Native American heritage representatives expressed concern that the site could represent an ancient cultural monument. They asked that the location remain undisclosed and left undisturbed. Respecting this request, the researchers agreed to keep the site confidential, but shortly afterward, funding for additional exploration was withdrawn. Without resources or official support, the project came to an abrupt halt. Two primary theories attempt to explain the Lake Michigan Stonehenge. The first is a geological explanation, suggesting that retreating glaciers more than 11,000 years ago could have moved the stones into their current arrangement. Over time, erosion may have produced the markings that resemble carvings. This theory, however, does not explain why the stones form a near-perfect structure or why no similar formations exist elsewhere in the lake. The second and far more controversial theory suggests that a prehistoric civilization constructed the site between 10,000 and 12,000 years ago during a period known as the Chippewa phase. At that time, Lake Michigan's water levels were dramatically lower, and the Grand Traverse Bay region may have been dry land used by early humans. If true, this would place an organized monument-building culture in North America thousands of years earlier than currently accepted history allows. Mysterious encounters with orange eyes. For centuries, the state of Ohio has been the setting for myths, sightings, and encounters involving one of the region's most mysterious beings, the creature known as Orange Eyes. Believed by many to be an enormous ape-like humanoid with glowing orange eyes and immense strength, this figure has been woven into both ancient Native American tradition and modern eyewitness accounts. From early tribal legends to sightings in recent decades, Orange Eyes represents one of the longest-standing cryptid mysteries in North America. Long before settlers ever arrived in Ohio, the Native American tribes who lived throughout the region told stories of large, human-shaped beings that roamed the deep forests. These creatures, often described as towering and ape-like, were known collectively as the Wild Ones of the woods. The origins of these legends are unknown, but the Iroquois claimed that one of the last encounters with these beings occurred sometime during the early 1700s. The tribes believed these Wild Ones possessed great power, and their imposing size caused understandable fear among those who crossed paths with them. To maintain harmony and avoid conflict, the tribes carried out rituals that involved leaving food at the edges of the woods. This offering was said to show respect and help ensure that the enormous beings remained peaceful. By the late 1800s, scattered reports throughout Ohio continued to describe large, hairy, bipedal creatures traveling along the banks of the Ohio River. Among these accounts was the story of a merchant riding in a carriage with his daughter. As they traveled beside the river, an enormous creature rushed out from the brush and struck the carriage with tremendous force. The merchant struggled as the creature attempted to pull him from the seat, only for the beast to retreat when his daughter began throwing stones toward it. The creature vanished into the trees, leaving behind only confusion and fear. During the early 1930s, new rumors began to circulate around Charles Mill Lake Reservoir near Mansfield. Hunters and lake visitors reported seeing a huge creature standing upright and covered in thick, dark brown fur. The earliest known account came from experienced naturalist Cyrus Gatton, who encountered the creature late one evening while collecting huckleberries on his property in Richland County. According to his description, the animal stood taller than 9 feet and possessed distinctly human-like eyes. With bears absent from the region for more than 50 years, Cyrus immediately realized that what he was looking at was unlike any known animal. He watched silently as the creature turned and calmly walked back into the woods with long, swinging arms. Many believe that this figure, seen decades later by others, was the same entity now known as Orange Eyes. By the 1940s, and continuing through the 1960s, rumors began linking the strange creature to the natural tunnels that once existed beneath Cleveland Riverside. Many locals believed that orange eyes dwelled in these caverns, emerging only on rare occasions. When government highway construction projects caused many of these natural tunnels to collapse, residents speculated that the creature had been forced from its home. New sightings soon placed it in the forested region behind the Cleveland Zoo, an area dense with foliage and largely untouched. One of the most memorable moments came on the 22nd of April, in the year 1968, when a group of determined teenagers ventured into the woods armed with flashlights, bats, and rope. They searched deep into the night, returning again and again over the following days, yet they found no trace of the mysterious being. Another highly regarded modern encounter occurred during June of 1991, when two men were fishing near Willis Creek. As twilight settled over the creek, they heard loud snapping sounds from the nearby trees. Moments later, they saw two glowing orange eyes watching them from the darkness. The eyes blinked, and then an enormous ape-like creature, standing nearly 11 feet tall, stepped from the tree line and walked past them without acknowledging their presence. The men remained frozen as they watched the creature disappear into the forest, leaving behind only the memory of its towering silhouette and otherworldly eyes. Even today, tales of orange eyes continue. Modern rumors place the creature near the Blue Bridge close to Ruggles Road, where locals say it can sometimes be seen wandering through the area during late evening hours. In the shadowy depths of Cold War espionage and classified government experiments, there exists a peculiar chapter in the history of US intelligence, a chapter where the limits of consciousness, perception, and ancient religious artifacts intertwined. Among the most extraordinary revelations to emerge from this period is the claim that the Central Intelligence Agency, through its once classified remote viewing program known as Project Sunstreak, may have uncovered the location of one of history's most mysterious and sacred relics, the Ark of the Covenant. Dated 1988, a declassified document from Project Sunstreak outlines the use of a psychic spy, known as a remote viewer, tasked with locating the Ark of the Covenant. Remote viewing, a technique once mocked and dismissed as pseudoscience, was quietly funded and studied by US intelligence for years, used in attempts to perceive locations, objects, or events inaccessible by conventional means. This method was born from the belief, supported by emerging theories in quantum physics, that consciousness is not bound by space or time. Rooted in the idea of non-local perception and the interconnectedness of all matter and energy, remote viewing posits that the human mind can traverse space, reaching targets thousands of miles away, by simply tuning into them mentally. According to the document, the remote viewer's task was straightforward but staggering in implication. Describe and locate the Ark of the Covenant. The viewer's report painted a vivid and almost cinematic picture of a mysterious container fashioned of wood and overlaid with gold and silver. The form of the object was likened to a coffin, detailed with ornate seraphim, six-winged angelic beings described in ancient religious texts. The description matches historical and biblical accounts of the Ark, a sacred object said to have been built by Moses under divine instruction, used to carry the Ten Commandments and, allegedly, capable of supernatural feats ranging from stopping rivers to destroying armies. The viewer described not just the object, but its surroundings with an impressive degree of specificity. The Ark, the report stated, was located underground, hidden in a space that was dark and damp beneath the surface of a place somewhere in the Middle East. Visual cues observed during the session included mosque domes, Arabic-speaking individuals dressed in white, and buildings with a distinctly Middle Eastern architectural style. One particularly clear figure was described as a man with black hair, dark eyes, and a prominent moustache, suggesting a very specific and real-world context for what might otherwise be dismissed as pure imagination. The container's environment was described with atmospheric detail, underground and wet, perhaps hinting at a cave or buried chamber long forgotten. Yet it was not only the physical description that stirred intrigue, but the spiritual and metaphysical impressions the remote viewer sensed. The Ark's purpose, according to the viewer, was not simply historical or ceremonial. It was imbued with a deep significance associated with resurrection, unity, memory, and homage. It represented a kind of spiritual technology, a transmitter of information, and a vessel of historical knowledge far beyond modern understanding. What set this particular session apart from standard archaeological speculation was the claim that the Ark was protected, not by men, but by non-human entities. These beings, according to the viewer, were not merely symbolic. They were real and active in guarding the object, ensuring it would not be disturbed until a specific time predetermined by forces unknown. Only those authorized to do so, the report stated, could access the Ark. Attempts to force it open would result in immediate and fatal consequences for the violator, as protectors wielding a mysterious form of energy or power would intervene. Such a claim mirrored many religious traditions and myths surrounding the Ark, which long warned that improper handling could bring instant death. One of the most interesting aspects of the account lies in its tone, neither exaggerated nor overtly mystical. The viewer relayed information in straightforward language, adhering to the controlled procedures of military-grade remote viewing. There was no flamboyant storytelling or emotional embellishment. The object, its composition, the layered design, and the details of its surroundings were described with clinical clarity. The figure being remote viewed reported an inner container within the main container, an element that sparked theories about whether the Ark held not just the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments, but other unknown artifacts or relics. The CIA's interest in the Ark of the Covenant may strike some as outlandish, but during the height of Cold War-era psychic experimentation, such missions were not uncommon. From locating enemy missile bases to investigating potential alien artifacts, the use of psychic spies was an unconventional but surprisingly well-documented aspect of American intelligence operations. These programs were backed by research institutions such as SRI International and were at times supported by physicists and military officers who believed in the potential of the human mind to tap into a wider field of perception. While the 1988 document does not state a precise geographical coordinate for the Ark's location, many who have analyzed the report have speculated that the location described could be somewhere within or near Jerusalem, possibly beneath the Temple Mount or in a buried chamber near the Dead Sea. Other interpretations point to Petra, in Jordan, or even the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Aksum, Ethiopia, a location already steeped in legends of housing the Ark. Yet, if the CIA's remote viewing session is to be taken at face value, the most accurate clue may lie not in traditional sites, but in a hidden location unmarked by conventional history, where mosque domes are visible, Arabic is spoken, and the desert conceals a powerful mystery. Skeptics have long debated the validity of remote viewing as a technique, citing inconsistent results and lack of empirical repeatability. However, supporters argue that the technique, when conducted under controlled conditions by trained individuals, has yielded information that could not have been otherwise known. The description of the Ark, its dual containers, the presence of seraphim, and the dire consequences for tampering all align with numerous religious accounts, particularly those in the Hebrew Bible and later mystical texts, which describe the Ark as a dangerous and holy vessel whose power should not be trifled with. Moreover, the inclusion of spiritual and informational components, suggesting that the Ark stores not just physical items, but metaphysical or even encoded knowledge, places the object in a category that bridges the sacred and the scientific. Some theorists have even proposed that the Ark may represent ancient technology capable of emitting energy or acting as a communication device. The idea that it could bring people together and be a conduit of divine information aligns with theories that posit the Ark was far more than a container. It was a symbol of covenant and a literal tool of interaction between humanity and the divine. The notion that such an object is protected by non-human intelligences further adds to the mystique. Were these entities described by the remote viewer literal guardians in some spiritual dimension, or could they be interpreted as advanced beings, possibly extraterrestrial, who placed the Ark and have been monitoring it ever since? The description of a power that can destroy those who try to open it improperly evokes images found in stories like those of the ancient Hebrew priest who died after touching the Ark, or the cinematic depiction in Raiders of the Lost Ark, a mythologized but strangely resonant vision. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of the entire viewing was the idea that the Ark cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. This suggests a programmed moment, a prophetic convergence of circumstances when the Ark's true purpose will be revealed. The idea echoes eschatological themes found in Abrahamic religions, where the return of sacred objects accompanies a transformation of humanity or the arrival of a messianic age. Whether one interprets such ideas as religious prophecy or encoded myth, the implication is clear. The Ark is not lost. It is hidden, protected, and waiting. The CIA's interest in the Ark and its use of remote viewing may forever remain on the fringe of mainstream historical inquiry, but for those willing to explore the boundaries of perception and consciousness, the 1988 Project Sunstreak document offers more than just a glimpse of a forgotten artifact. It offers a narrative that challenges our understanding of history, spirituality, and the power of the human mind. For now, the Ark of the Covenant remains hidden, buried beneath sand, stone, or perhaps guarded by entities beyond our comprehension. But in a dimly lit room over 3 decades ago, one remote viewer may have brushed against its presence, not with their hands but with their mind, and revealed to the world that history's greatest treasure was never really gone. It was always just waiting to be seen. The Ark of the Covenant remains one of the most enduring and mysterious relics in the history of human civilization. Said to have been constructed under divine instruction during the Israelites' journey across the Sinai Desert, the Ark is more than just a sacred object. It is a symbol of divine power, judgment, and protection. According to biblical tradition, as the Israelites fled Egypt and wandered through the desert, Moses relayed God's direct command to construct a vessel that would house the tablets inscribed with the 10 Commandments. These tablets were not ordinary stone, but believed to be imbued with supernatural power, some even suggesting they were forged with gold from the Garden of Eden itself, representing the cosmic moral balance between good and evil. The physical specifications of the Ark were detailed with extraordinary precision. God instructed the Israelites to build it from acacia wood, measuring approximately 3.75 feet in length and 2.25 feet in width, and then to overlay it entirely in gold, both inside and out. A cherub was to be placed atop the lid, its wings stretching upward to cast a sacred shadow over what became known as the mercy seat. To imagine a nomadic people wandering the harsh wilderness for 4 decades, building such an ornate and precise masterpiece from scratch using rudimentary tools seems a daunting, almost miraculous task. For this reason, tradition holds that God bestowed divine skill upon a single chosen craftsman, empowering him with the abilities necessary to complete the Ark to exact specifications. Over time, the Ark came to be seen as more than just a container for the 10 Commandments. It became a vessel of divine intervention. As the Israelites moved toward the land of Canaan, the Ark supposedly aided them in supernatural ways. One of the most famous accounts tells of the Ark halting the flow of the Jordan River, allowing the Israelites to cross its dry bed. In battle, it was believed to bring God's wrath upon their enemies, ensuring victory. However, its immense power was not without risk. When the Ark was stolen by adversaries, legend has it that plagues, disease, and death followed the thieves, forcing them to return it. The Ark's journey continued as the Israelites settled and established their society. After a time in Shiloh, the Ark was moved by King David and later entrusted to his son Solomon, who placed it in the Holy of Holies within the first temple in Jerusalem. There, it remained until it vanished. Around 587 BC, during the Babylonian siege of Jerusalem, the Ark disappeared from historical record. No definitive account of its fate was ever documented, and from that point forward, the Ark of the Covenant transitioned from a sacred artifact to a sacred mystery. Since then, scholars, theologians, and adventurers alike have speculated on the Ark's final resting place. One of the most compelling and widely accepted theories is that it resides in Ethiopia, specifically within the St. Mary of Zion Cathedral in Aksum. According to this belief, the Ark was taken to Ethiopia for safekeeping and remains there to this day, watched over by a single monk known as the Guardian. This individual devotes his life to protecting the Ark, and only he is permitted to view it. Despite the cathedral's claims, no independent verification or scientific examination has been allowed, leaving scholars and believers to rely on faith, oral tradition, and circumstantial evidence. Other theories abound. The second book of Maccabees claims that the prophet Jeremiah hid the Ark in a cave on Mount Nebo, and that it would not be rediscovered until the time of God's choosing. According to this view, the Ark's reappearance would herald an era of divine mercy and spiritual awakening. Some theologians maintain that the Ark will be revealed only with the arrival of the Messiah, a moment prophesied to coincide with the redemption of the righteous and the ushering in of a new divine age. Others take a more apocalyptic approach, suggesting the Ark will only return during the final days of the world, serving as a celestial sign of God's final judgment. The discovery of mysterious giant structures beneath the Khafra Pyramid. A groundbreaking discovery has emerged from the Giza Plateau, as a team of researchers utilizing advanced satellite technology has revealed the existence of massive underground structures beneath the Khafra Pyramid. This revelation, led by Corrado Malanga, Armando May, Filippo Biondi, and Nicole Ciccolo, has captured international attention due to its potential implications for understanding the ancient history of Egypt. The research, which involved synthetic aperture radar scanning, offers a significant breakthrough in archaeological exploration by providing high-resolution images of subterranean formations that had previously remained hidden from view. The team first announced their findings in early 2025, releasing a series of reports and press statements detailing their investigation. On March 15, 2025, they officially disclosed key findings about extensive underground structures detected beneath the Khafra Pyramid. This announcement followed an earlier press release in February, where Ciccolo, serving as head of communications, described the discovery of what she referred to as a vast underground city beneath the pyramids. The researchers have since continued their work, refining their analysis and preparing for further presentations to both the scientific community and the public. The study relied on data obtained from Capella space satellites, which allowed the team to conduct detailed synthetic aperture radar analysis of the Khafra Pyramid and its surrounding area. The use of SR technology is particularly notable, as it enables researchers to create three-dimensional reconstructions of underground features by capturing radar reflections at multiple angles. This approach builds upon earlier work conducted by Biondi, who has pioneered the application of SR technology to pyramid structures, including his 2022 study on the use of Doppler tomography to detect hidden internal features within the Great Pyramid of Giza. According to the team's latest findings, the underground structures beneath the Khafra Pyramid are far more extensive than previously imagined. The analysis revealed 5 identical structures near the pyramid's base, each connected by geometric pathways and containing 5 horizontal levels with sloping roofs. Additionally, the radar scans identified 8 cylindrical structures that resemble vertical wells, each surrounded by descending spiral pathways. The most astonishing discovery, however, was the detection of 2 massive cubic structures measuring approximately 80 meters per side, buried at a depth of 648 meters. These 2 large formations appear to be interconnected with the cylindrical wells and extend beneath all 3 pyramids of the Giza complex, suggesting a far-reaching subterranean network. The discovery raises profound questions about the purpose and origins of these underground formations. The precise geometric layout of the structures challenges conventional explanations that they may be natural formations. Some researchers speculate that these formations could be remnants of an advanced engineering project undertaken by the builders of the pyramids. Others propose that they might be evidence of an ancient civilization predating the commonly accepted timeline of Egyptian history. Regardless of their origins, the scale and complexity of these structures suggest that they played a significant role in the development of the Giza Plateau. The methodology employed by the team has been carefully detailed in their reports. By processing SAR data from multiple angles, they were able to construct detailed 3D models of the underground formations. The use of Doppler tomography, a technique developed and patented by Biondi, allowed for the detection of millimetric vibrations within the structures, further confirming their existence. The team also converted radar information into phonic signals to analyze vibrational data, providing additional insight into the density and composition of the subterranean formations. The implications of this discovery extend beyond the field of archaeology. The presence of large underground structures beneath the pyramids challenges existing theories about the construction and purpose of these monuments. Some researchers have speculated that these formations could represent an advanced subterranean infrastructure designed to support or enhance the pyramids in ways not yet understood. Others suggest that the structures could be linked to lost knowledge about the engineering capabilities of ancient civilizations. The public response to the discovery has been one of fascination and speculation. The idea that a vast underground network may exist beneath the pyramids has long been a subject of myth and legend, but modern technology is now providing tangible evidence that such structures may indeed be real. As the team continues to analyze their findings, they have scheduled both press conferences and scientific presentations to share further details. These upcoming events are expected to provide greater clarity on the nature of the subterranean formations and their possible significance. While much remains unknown about the structures beneath the Khafra pyramid, the use of advanced satellite technology has opened new doors for archaeological exploration. As researchers continue to refine their techniques, further discoveries are likely to follow, potentially reshaping the understanding of ancient Egypt and the architectural achievements of past civilizations. The work of Malanga, May, Biondi, and Chikolo stands as a testament to the power of modern technology in uncovering secrets buried deep beneath the surface of the Earth. Mysterious skull found in southern Oklahoma sparks debate. A fascinating photograph has recently surfaced in several Facebook groups dedicated to cryptozoology and paranormal phenomena, showing what appears to be a mysterious and unidentified skull reportedly discovered in southern Oklahoma. The image has quickly gone viral, with many speculating that the skull could belong to a creature not yet recognized by science, perhaps even a dogman or Bigfoot. The photograph has reignited long-standing regional legends and stirred curiosity among locals and online enthusiasts alike. According to those who shared the image, the skull was found in a wooded area, and its appearance immediately struck the discoverers as unusual. What stands out the most is the presence of a crest that rises prominently from the brow line, a feature not typically found in most known North American wildlife. Additionally, the lower jaw extends significantly farther than the upper jaw, giving the skull a distinct and almost humanoid yet animalistic profile. These unique anatomical features have led some to dismiss conventional explanations, arguing that the skull might belong to an undiscovered or legendary creature. Theories suggesting that the skull might be from a dogman or Bigfoot are not without context. Residents in the surrounding area have long reported strange activity in the region. Locals speak of eerie sounds at night, deep growls, howls, and strange vocalizations that don't match any known local animals. These auditory anomalies have been part of the local folklore for decades, with many attributing them to cryptids rumored to inhabit the region's dense forests and rugged terrain. Skeptics often point out the lack of physical evidence when it comes to creatures like Bigfoot or Dogman, but some researchers argue that the problem lies in the lack of serious investigation. They contend that no dedicated scientific effort has been made to search for skeletal remains of such elusive species. If creatures like these do exist, they likely live in remote areas and die in places where their remains are quickly reclaimed by the environment. Wildlife experts have noted that in nature, it's uncommon to find animal remains because scavengers, weather, and decomposition tend to erase all traces within days. This could explain why no clear bones or remains have ever been documented, until now. The skull's discovery could mark a rare instance of potential physical evidence, but until experts are able to examine the find in person, its origins remain speculative. Some have suggested that it might belong to an unusually shaped bear or another known species with a deformity. Others argue that no known animal matches the skull's dimensions and features. As the debate continues, enthusiasts hope that more attention will be given to the site where the skull was found, and that a professional analysis will be conducted. For now, the image continues to circulate, raising more questions than answers. Whether it's a case of misidentification, a hoax, or genuine evidence of a mysterious creature roaming the forests of southern Oklahoma, the skull remains one of the most intriguing finds shared on social media in recent months. John Rhodes, a well-known UFO researcher, has spent years investigating strange and unexplainable phenomena. His work has led him to explore some of the most mysterious locations in the world, but one of his most chilling encounters took place in the Grand Canyon caverns. Rhodes had been following claims that underground tunnels ran beneath the region, possibly connected to a hidden base. However, his search for answers took an unsettling turn when he was confronted by two mysterious figures in black suits. His journey to uncover the truth about these underground tunnels began with whispers from insiders who suggested that the Grand Canyon caverns might be part of a vast subterranean network. The idea of secret underground facilities has long been a topic of discussion among researchers, and Rhodes was determined to find evidence that could validate these claims. However, before he could even begin his exploration, he found himself being watched. Before arriving at his destination, Rhodes noticed that two men in black suits were already there, as if they had been expecting him. This was no ordinary coincidence. The timing of their presence was too precise to be accidental. One of the men remained by the vehicle, while the other approached Rhodes directly. As the man got closer, he immediately identified Rhodes by name. This startled the researcher, as he had never seen this person before in his life. The fact that this stranger knew his name suggested that he had been monitored, leading Rhodes to question just how much these men knew about his investigation. Rhodes could not shake the eerie feeling that the encounter had been carefully planned. How had these men in black known he was coming, and how did they know exactly where he would be at that particular moment? The possibilities were disturbing. The situation raised numerous questions, but the answers remained elusive. What was even more unnerving was the tone in which the man in black spoke to him. The conversation took a menacing turn when the man in the black suit issued what Rhodes perceived to be a thinly veiled threat. The figure warned him that he needed to be careful in this area because it would be easy to fall into one of the many caverns, and if that were to happen, no one would ever find him. This statement, while appearing on the surface to be a simple cautionary note, carried an undeniable sense of intimidation. The implication was clear: if Rhodes continued his investigation, he might not return. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Rhodes wasted no time in leaving the area. He had been warned, and whether or not he was willing to heed the warning, he knew he had to be careful. His mind raced with questions as he departed. Who were these men, and were they government agents, members of a secret organization, or part of an unknown force that was determined to keep the secrets of the Grand Canyon caverns hidden? The encounter had all the hallmarks of the infamous Men in Black phenomenon, in which individuals investigating UFOs and other anomalies are confronted by mysterious figures who seem to have inside knowledge and an agenda to suppress information. Rhodes's experience mirrored countless other accounts from researchers and witnesses who claimed to have been intimidated into silence by unknown entities. The presence of underground tunnels has long been a topic of intrigue in conspiracy circles, with many believing that secret bases or extraterrestrial facilities exist beneath the Earth's surface. The Grand Canyon, with its vast and unexplored caves, would be an ideal location for such a hidden installation. If such a base did exist, it would explain why someone would go to such great lengths to deter Rhodes from investigating further. The unsettling reality of the encounter left Rhodes questioning not only what he had nearly uncovered, but also the level of surveillance that was being conducted on him. The fact that these men had intercepted him before he even reached his intended destination suggested that his movements were being closely watched. If that was the case, then who else was keeping tabs on him? This incident serves as yet another example of the strange and secretive nature surrounding UFO-related investigations. Researchers who get too close to sensitive information often find themselves facing unexpected roadblocks, unexplained encounters, and even direct threats. While some dismiss such claims as paranoia, others believe that these experiences point to a much larger effort to control and conceal knowledge from the public. Rhodes's encounter with the men in black at the Grand Canyon caverns has remained one of the most mysterious episodes of his research career. The cryptic warning, the eerie knowledge of his whereabouts, and the looming possibility of underground secrets all contribute to an ongoing mystery that remains unsolved. If there truly is something hidden beneath the Grand Canyon, then it is being protected with great effort. Whether it is an underground base, an ancient civilization, or something beyond human understanding, one thing is certain. Rhodes's experience has only fueled the curiosity of those who seek to uncover the unknown. For many, this event raises the question of just how much is being hidden from the public. The existence of underground tunnels, secret bases, and advanced technology is something that continues to surface in countless accounts from researchers and insiders. The encounter that Rhodes experienced suggests that those who seek the truth may be met with resistance from powerful forces. The mystery of the Grand Canyon caverns remains unsolved, but Rhodes's chilling encounter stands as a stark reminder that sometimes the search for the truth comes at a cost. Whether or not he was able to continue his investigation remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: someone, or something, does not want these secrets to be uncovered. The Grand Caverns, located in southwestern Virginia, have long been shrouded in mystery. Known for their intricate underground passages and massive rock formations, the caverns have fascinated explorers for centuries. However, an eerie photograph taken in 1895 by amateur photographer Orrin Jeffries has left researchers and enthusiasts questioning whether something more than natural beauty exists in these depths. The photograph, which allegedly captures 3 humanoid-like creatures, has sparked numerous theories, ranging from underground civilizations to unknown creatures lurking within the cavern system. Orrin Jeffries was an adventurous photographer who enjoyed capturing landscapes and natural formations. During one of his explorations, he ventured into an unmapped section of the Grand Caverns, an area that few had dared to enter due to local stories of disappearances and strange encounters. The region was notorious for legends claiming that underground networks extended far beyond what was officially recorded. Some hikers in recent years have even reported stumbling upon passageways that seemingly lead to nowhere, adding further intrigue to the legend of the caverns. As Jeffries navigated the cavern with only minimal equipment, he soon realized that the darkness was overwhelming. Given the lack of proper lighting, he decided to conduct a photographic experiment by using long-exposure photography. This technique, often used to capture movement or illuminate dark scenes, allowed him to gather more light from the cave's interior. With no visibility beyond the reach of his flickering lantern, he set up his camera and took several shots into the abyss. While waiting for the exposure to complete, Jeffries suddenly heard something moving deep within the cave. The sound was faint at first, resembling whispers or soft footsteps, but as he remained still, the noise grew more distinct. He described the sensation as something shifting in the darkness, moving just beyond his field of vision. Feeling an overwhelming sense of unease, he quickly reached for his camera's flash mechanism, hoping to momentarily illuminate his surroundings and reveal what was hiding in the shadows. The brief flash lit up the cavern walls, exposing intricate formations, deep crevices, and most disturbingly, 3 humanoid figures standing just a short distance away. In the split second of illumination, Jeffries saw their elongated limbs and unusual features, but before he could react, darkness consumed the cavern once more. Terrified, he grabbed his equipment and rushed out of the cave, desperate to escape whatever was lurking within. Once safely outside, he wasted no time in developing the photograph. To his horror, the image clearly showed 3 figures standing in the distance, peering directly at him. Their faces were obscured, but their hunched posture and skeletal frames gave them an unsettling, otherworldly appearance. Jeffries was shaken by what he had captured, convinced that he had encountered something not meant to be seen. Determined to share his discovery, he approached a local newspaper and presented the photograph. He explained his experience in detail, recounting the strange noises and the figures that had appeared in his image. However, rather than being met with intrigue, his story was dismissed by skeptics who believed it was either a photographic anomaly or a fabrication. Some claimed that light reflections on the cave walls created an illusion, while others insisted that Jeffries had mistaken natural rock formations for living creatures. Despite the skepticism, the photograph circulated among local residents, many of whom believed it validated long-standing rumors of mysterious beings living in the cavern depths. Theories began to emerge, with some suggesting that the figures belonged to a lost subterranean civilization that had remained hidden for centuries. Over time, the photograph faded into obscurity, with no concrete explanation ever being provided. However, as modern-day hikers and explorers continue to report strange encounters within the caverns, interest in Jeffries' story has resurfaced. Some paranormal researchers have attempted to track down the original photograph, hoping to analyze it using modern technology to determine its authenticity. Unfortunately, the original print has never been recovered, and only grainy reproductions exist today. Recent scientific studies of unexplored cavern systems suggest that entire ecosystems may exist underground, filled with undiscovered species adapted to life in complete darkness. These revelations have led some to believe that the figures in Jeffries' photograph could have been biological entities, rather than supernatural ones. Certain species of cave-dwelling organisms exhibit features such as elongated limbs and heightened sensory abilities, which could explain the humanoid appearance of the creatures. Others have linked the Grand Caverns to theories about underground alien bases, suggesting that extraterrestrial beings may have established hidden outposts beneath the Earth's surface. This concept aligns with numerous UFO reports that describe strange lights disappearing into mountains or caves, leading some theorists to conclude that intelligent beings may have built underground networks to avoid detection. Regardless of the theories, one undeniable fact remains: the Grand Caverns continue to be a place of mystery, and Jeffries' photograph is one of the most compelling pieces of evidence ever captured in such an environment. Whether the figures were optical illusions, undiscovered creatures, or something beyond human understanding, the mystery persists. To this day, explorers who visit the Grand Caverns report an eerie feeling, as if they are not alone in the darkness. Some claim to have heard faint whispers echoing through the tunnels, while others describe the sensation of being watched from unseen crevices. As investigations into underground anomalies continue, the legend of the 1895 Grand Caverns photograph remains one of the most enduring mysteries in American folklore. Until more evidence emerges, the truth about what Jeffries saw that night in the depths of the cavern will remain a mystery, waiting in the shadows, just beyond the reach of the light. A hiker finds hundreds of trees flattened overnight in a quiet woodland in England. In a quiet woodland near Medan in Devon, UK, a man named Ben Landricum had an experience that left him shaken, confused, and curious. On an otherwise ordinary day, while walking his dog through the woods, Landricum stumbled upon something strange and unnerving: a long column of flattened trees stretching across the woodland floor. The scene was unnatural, as if a great force had passed through the forest, knocking down everything in its path. Instinctively disturbed by what he saw, Landricum rushed back to his campervan with his dog, leaving behind a mystery that would soon spark rumours and theories suggesting that an unidentified flying object had crashed in the area. Ben Landricum was an experienced outdoorsman who frequently explored the woods around Medan with his loyal dog. However, this particular walk in the Devon woods would be unlike any he had experienced before. On this day, while following a familiar trail, he noticed something odd in the distance. A long, straight line of trees had been snapped and flattened, as if hit by an unseen force. The devastation was concentrated in a narrow path, cutting through the forest like a scar. The fallen trees were not toppled randomly, as they might have been in a natural event like a storm or strong wind. Instead, they appeared to be pressed down in a uniform direction, as though something large and heavy had crashed through the woods. Despite the area being prone to storms, this scene was unlike anything Landricum had ever seen in the region. Startled by the sight, he immediately felt a sense of unease. He wasn't sure what had caused the destruction, but the thought of lingering in such an unusual area didn't sit well with him. Word of Landricum's discovery quickly spread among locals and online communities, particularly those interested in paranormal phenomena. The strange nature of the flattened trees, combined with the lack of a clear explanation, led to widespread speculation. One of the most popular theories to emerge was that an unidentified flying object had crashed in the woodland, creating the path of destruction. Devon, like many other rural areas, has a history of UFO sightings and unexplained phenomena. The isolated forests, expansive skies, and quiet atmosphere have long made the region a hotspot for mysterious occurrences. As news of the discovery spread, enthusiasts and theorists began piecing together stories of other strange events in the area. Some locals reported hearing unusual noises or seeing strange lights in the sky on the night before Landricum found the column of flattened trees, further fueling the idea that a UFO might have crashed or passed through the area. These suggestions weren't entirely far-fetched. There have been numerous cases globally where mysterious flattened trees or scorched earth have been linked to alleged UFO sightings. In the case of Medan, the strange destruction of trees bore some similarities to other reports of unexplained crashes, leading many to believe that something unusual, whether extraterrestrial or not, had occurred in this quiet Devonshire woodland. Theories of a UFO crash persisted, and several enthusiasts visited the site to search for evidence. Some claimed to have found signs of radiation or magnetic anomalies in the area, though these findings were never scientifically verified. Others speculated that the crash site might have been quickly covered up, with officials eager to dismiss the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement. For those who believe in the UFO phenomena, the idea that a UFO might have crashed in the Devonshire woods is both exciting and chilling. While the truth behind the mysterious column of flattened trees remains elusive, one thing is certain. The experience has left a lasting impression on Ben Landricombe and those who have followed his story. Whether the result of a freak weather event, an unknown terrestrial force, or something far stranger, the woodland near Meddon now holds a new sense of intrigue, drawing curious minds to uncover the secrets hidden within its trees. The Green-Clawed Beast Incident. A mysterious creature referred to as the Green-Clawed Beast is purported to inhabit the Ohio River. The event occurred on August 21, 1955 in Evansville, Indiana. Mrs. Johnson was swimming when the alarming incident transpired. She asserted that a hairy, clawed hand had seized her around the knee. On the shore, her acquaintance observed in horror as Mrs. Johnson flailed in the water. She fought fervently to free herself from the creature's hold. She lunged for an inner tube to escape the beast and ultimately reached the shore. Mrs. Johnson sustained numerous injuries to her leg, which thereafter began to throb and swell. Certain stories indicate that she exhibited an unusual green mark on her skin resembling a palm, which remained impervious to removal for several days following the incident. Subsequently, she expressed gratitude that it was she who was in the water, rather than her 13-year-old son. She expressed concern that her son might not have escaped from the formidable creature. She recounted her narrative publicly, solely to save others from undergoing a similar experience. The mystery of the faceless figure of Dead Man's Curve. Dead Man's Curve, a notoriously dangerous stretch of road in Ohio, has been a source of fear, tragedy, and mystery for decades. Though the road was redesigned and reconstructed in 1969 to improve safety, its reputation as a perilous place remains, largely due to the accident that occurred just a month after the road's reopening and the dark legend that followed. On October 19, 1969, 5 teenagers were killed when their 1968 Chevy Impala was struck by another vehicle traveling at over 100 miles per hour. The sole survivor of the crash, Rick, lived to tell a chilling story, one that still haunts the region to this day. He claims to have encountered a faceless figure on multiple occasions, a dark spirit said to haunt the site of the fatal accident. For years, Dead Man's Curve had been a source of fear and frustration for drivers in the area. This sharp bend in the road had been responsible for numerous crashes, many of them fatal, earning its grim nickname. The accident shocked the local community, and once again, Dead Man's Curve seemed to live up to its deadly reputation, even though the curve itself had been straightened. The only survivor was a man named Rick, who had been in the back seat of the Impala at the time of the crash. Although he suffered severe injuries, Rick managed to survive. However, his life was forever altered, not just by the physical and emotional trauma of the accident, but by the chilling experiences he would come to endure in the years that followed. Following the accident, reports of strange occurrences began to emerge from the site of the crash. Drivers passing through the area late at night claimed to see a mysterious figure standing near the side of the road. The figure, described as a man wearing dark, tattered clothing, appeared to be hitchhiking, but something about him was deeply unsettling. Those who saw him noted that he had no face. His features were either completely obscured or simply missing, as if a dark, blank void had replaced what should have been a human visage. The faceless figure became a local legend, with many speculating that it was the spirit of one of the victims of the crash, doomed to wander the site of the tragedy for eternity. Some suggested that the figure might be the embodiment of the dangerous road itself, a spirit created by the long history of accidents associated with Dead Man's Curve. Regardless of the theory, one thing was clear. The intersection had not lost its aura of danger, and the faceless hitchhiker became a feared and infamous presence on that stretch of road. For Rick, the lone survivor of the 1969 crash, the faceless figure became more than just a local legend. It was a terrifying reality. Over the years, Rick has claimed to have seen the faceless hitchhiker 5 times. each encounter leaving him shaken and disturbed. His first sighting occurred not long after the accident, as he was driving through the area late one night. He described seeing the dark figure standing on the shoulder of the road, his arm outstretched as if asking for a ride. At first, Rick didn't notice anything unusual about the figure, but as he got closer, he realized the man had no face. Overwhelmed with fear, he sped away, but the image stayed with him for days. The second encounter occurred a few years later, under similar circumstances. Rick was once again driving near the site of the crash when he saw the same faceless figure. By the time of his fifth encounter, Rick could no longer dismiss the figure as a trick of the mind or a product of his trauma. He was convinced that the faceless hitchhiker was somehow tied to the tragedy of the crash and perhaps even to the deaths of his friends. Rick speculated that the spirit might be one of the teenagers, lost and searching for peace, or even a dark force that fed off the grief and fear surrounding Dead Man's Curve. To this day, the legend of the faceless figure at Dead Man's Curve persists, with many drivers claiming to have seen the mysterious hitchhiker. While skeptics dismiss the sightings as figments of imagination or optical illusions caused by the eerie atmosphere of the location, others believe that the spirit is real, a lingering presence tied to the tragic events of October 19, 1969. Wildfires raging through Texas necessitated the temporary evacuation of the primary nuclear weapons site in the United States due to the influence of powerful winds, arid vegetation, and unusually high temperatures that fueled the inferno. This catastrophic event highlighted the severity of the situation and the critical measures undertaken to safeguard the area. The Pantex plant, crucial for assembling and disassembling America's nuclear weapons, ceased its activities due to the imminent threat posed by the Windy Deuce fire rapidly approaching its location in Potter County. This facility plays a pivotal role in managing the nation's nuclear arsenal. During a press briefing, Leif Pendergraft, the spokesperson for the National Nuclear Security Administration's production office at Pantex, stated that as a precautionary measure, they have safely removed all non-essential personnel from the site. Despite the presence of a fully equipped fire department, specifically trained to handle such situations, stationed on-site and vigilant, prepared to respond promptly in the event of any actual emergency at the plant premises. This ensures that adequate measures are in place to address any unforeseen incidents effectively, reassuring the safety and security of the facility and its occupants. As of right now, people on Facebook have been posting photographs of strange formations and charred marks in the ground that could have caused the wildfires. One individual highlighted that their father, who works for the police force, stated that these fires are affecting the emergency powers, National Guard, and various other resources. Others pointed out that the timing is strange and stated that wildfire season doesn't usually happen this early, which has caused some people to put forward some interesting theories. Although this is just an idea, one user pointed out that many of these wildfires seem to start out of nowhere and questioned why this is. Pantex, a prominent facility in nuclear weapons assembly and disassembly, is strategically located approximately 17 miles or 27 kilometers to the northeast of Amarillo, Texas. Since 1975, it has served as the primary facility in the United States for the assembly and disassembly of atomic weapons. Over the years, this facility has played a crucial role in the maintenance and handling of the country's nuclear arsenal. The Windy Deuce wildfire experienced a significant growth spurt during the afternoon of February 28th, expanding its reach to cover a vast area of 90,000 acres, while containment efforts stood at 25% effectiveness. Amidst the ongoing crisis, numerous additional wildfires, with several of them being significantly larger in scale, pose imminent threats to the Texas Panhandle region. Taking swift action, Governor Greg Abbott, a member of the government, has officially declared a state of disaster encompassing 60 counties spread throughout Texas. The Smokehouse Creek Fire, the most extensive wildfire currently raging, has ravaged an immense expanse of 850,000 acres by February 28th, as reported by the Texas Forest Service. Surpassing the state of Rhode Island in size, this wildfire has grown exponentially, doubling in size just within a day. To put this into perspective, it is now nearly 20 times larger than the area of Washington, D.C., This intensive wildfire has not only engulfed vast swathes of land, but has also posed significant challenges for containment efforts and firefighting operations. At a mere 3% containment level, the ongoing wildfire has the potential to exceed the size of the largest fire ever recorded in the state, which covered slightly over 900,000 acres, possibly by the culmination of activities on Wednesday. The exact trigger for the fire that engulfed the thinly populated regions nestled amid expansive grasslands remains undisclosed by officials. Texas residents are advised by Mr. Abbott to restrict any activities that might generate sparks and to exercise care to ensure the safety of their family members. This recommendation is particularly crucial to prevent accidents and protect loved ones from harm. In the latest updates, the Grapevine Creek fire, which is relatively smaller in size, has reached a containment level of 60%, as per the report released on Wednesday. Similarly, the containment level of the Magenta fire stands at 40%, indicating gradual progress in managing the situation. Additionally, the 687 Rima fire, situated just to the south of the Smokehouse Creek fire, has achieved a containment rate of 10%. According to the National Weather Service, the weather conditions have shown significant improvement compared to earlier in the week. The forecast for Wednesday indicates that the state will experience lower temperatures and gentle winds, factors that are expected to contribute to restricting the expansion of the 5 ongoing fires in the Panhandle region. This alteration in weather patterns is crucial as it offers a glimmer of hope in controlling the wildfire situation. Early this week, the National Weather Service released red flag warnings and fire danger alerts for numerous states spanning the central region of the country. This action was prompted by the convergence of strong winds exceeding 40 miles per hour, elevated temperatures, reduced humidity levels, and the presence of dry winter foliage, creating a perfect storm for potential wildfire outbreaks. These warnings were specifically targeted at ensuring public safety and vigilance in light of the heightened risk posed by the prevailing weather conditions in the specified areas. The Smokehouse Creek fire also spread to Oklahoma late Tuesday, causing evacuations and destruction in the towns of Gage and Shattuck. In response to escalating threats, evacuation directives were dispatched encompassing various counties in Texas during the recent events. The county and city authorities took to broadcasting on the social media platform Facebook to engage with the populace fraught with anxiety, addressing their inquiries in real time, urging residents to activate the emergency alerts on their mobile devices and remain poised for an immediate evacuation. Officials painted a vivid picture of the perilous situation. Some thoroughfares were depicted as engulfed in flames on both sides, painting a harrowing picture while acknowledging the strain on resources being pushed to their limits in managing the crisis. During a recent incident in Fritch, a small town, a fire outbreak compelled certain residents to evacuate their homes as the flames leaped across a highway. On Wednesday morning, the Hutchinson County Office of Emergency Management issued a statement highlighting a distressing situation where numerous residences have been devastated, with some engulfed in flames, particularly in the area of Fritch. Texas State Senator Kevin Sparks announced that a mandatory evacuation order had been declared for Canadian, a community of approximately 2,000 residents situated around 100 miles northeast of Amarillo. Subsequently, on the same day, the Hemphill County Sheriff's Office advised the remaining population of Canadians to take refuge either at their homes or relocate to the high school gym due to the closure of various roads in the area. The move was prompted by an escalation of the situation, necessitating immediate action to ensure the safety and well-being of the local residents and to mitigate potential risks associated with the prevailing conditions in the region. In addition to the evacuations that took place in Canada, further evacuations were also mandated in the vicinity of Miami. Furthermore, on Wednesday, schools in both Canadian and Miami declared closures as a precautionary measure. Moving east from Canadian, authorities in the fire-affected region of Durham, Oklahoma, advised residents to evacuate due to the escalating fire threat.
Iwona Wieczorek. It was the 17th of July 2010 in Spot, Poland. In the early morning light, 19-year-old Iwona Wieczorek makes a final call to her friend Adria. Earlier that night, the girls were out celebrating their completion of high school, attending a party not far from their home. Adria convinced Ivona to leave and continue their partying at a nearby nightclub, Dream Club. Not long after midnight, they arrived at the club, along with 3 of Adria's male friends, Paul, Adrian, and Mark. After an argument with the men, Ivona stormed out, determined to walk the almost 4 miles home. Texts from her phone indicate she was angry her friend did not follow her out of the club after the argument. There were several calls made to Adria. The last one occurred at around 4 a.m, in which Adria had apologized for the incident at the club. Ivona confessed she wasn't in a state to be seen at home, still drunk from all the partying. Adria informed Ivona she would leave her keys outside of her apartment if she wanted to come to stay with her. CCTV easily tracked Ivona's path, having been seen on several different cameras. Barefoot and alone, she headed towards the neighborhood that she and Adria lived in. Needless to say, Ivona never arrived. Later that day, after awakening and finding her keys where she had left them, Adria contacted Ivona's family to check that she had made it home. Although she was reported missing, authorities claimed Ivona was capable enough to make it home and could have stayed at another friend's house. It was a week before the disappearance of Ivona was taken seriously. During the last few seconds of the video captured of Ivona, a man was seen walking behind her. He was possibly the last known person to see her alive. Even though his picture and sketches were widely circulated, no one ever stepped forward claiming to be the man. And he was never identified. In 2014, Adria and one of the men from the club were interviewed regarding the disappearance. Although both of them corroborated the time Ivona left the club, neither of them could maintain eye contact with the camera. And though they seemed to remember the time of her leaving, not one of them could remember what the argument was about. This strange behavior has led some to believe that perhaps Adria and the men know more about her disappearance than they were telling. In Poland, Ivona's disappearance has not faded away. Some 12,000 pages on a forum remain active searching for Ivona, sharing pictures of her and asking for someone to step forward. Some fear she has been sold into human trafficking. Even with hundreds of people from the area interviewed, no sign of Ivona has ever turned up.
Did our DNA come from space rocks? The building blocks of our DNA have been discovered in space rocks, begging the question, did our DNA come from space rocks? It's possible that cosmic impacts brought the ingredients needed to create life on Earth. DNA is made of 4 vital ingredients: nucleobases named adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. For years, scientists wondered if meteorites could have brought these ingredients to Earth. However, until now, only adenine and guanine had been detected. Nucleobases come in 2 forms, called purines and pyrimidines. For a long time, only purines were seen in meteorites, and pyrimidines seemed to be missing in action. The main difference between the two is that purines are made from a hexagonal molecule fused with a pentagonal one, while pyrimidines are smaller and are made from just the hexagonal molecule. Scientists have now been able to find all the purines and pyrimidines that are in DNA and RNA in the meteorites that arrived on Earth. According to the astrochemist who led the study, Yasuhiro Oba, the presence of the 5 primary nucleobases in meteorites may have a contribution to the emergence of genetic functions before the onset of life on the early Earth. The methods used in this study to detect the nucleobases demonstrate the incredible scientific advancements that have been made in recent years. Researchers used techniques that were originally designed for genetic and pharmaceutical research, that are able to detect nucleobases down to the range of parts per trillion. The techniques used were at least 10 to 100 times greater in sensitivity than previous techniques to detect pyrimidines in meteorites. The samples analysed in this study were from 3 carbon-rich meteorites that had been previously suspected of having the capability to host chemical reactions that created nucleobases: Murchison, Murray, and Tagish Lake meteorites. Although it's still unknown why purines were much more abundant in the meteorites than pyrimidines, one clue could be that purines contain a pentagonal ring called imidazole, while pyrimidines do not.
Whatever the reason for this discrepancy, one thing is for certain. This study could be a breakthrough in understanding how life formed on Earth. NASA can't explain strange spiral in space. In 2006, scientists finally uncovered the true nature of star AFGL 3068, a first-of-its-kind spiral object 3,000 light-years away in the constellation Pegasus. Before this discovery, scientists knew the star existed, but the object was too faint for scientists to determine exactly what the spot was. Only after a 33-minute-long exposure with the ultra-sensitive advanced camera for surveys on the Hubble Space Telescope did scientists begin to really see the spirals come into view. Scientists found that the entity consisted of large, perfectly placed coils of dust floating out in the universe. Before AFGL 3068, the only spirals found in space were known as spiral galaxies. This star is nothing like a spiral galaxy. First of all, it is not a galaxy at all. Instead, it is made up of a binary star system that includes two stars orbiting around each other. The first star is a red giant carbon star, and the second is a blue-white star that exists 103 astronomical units away from the red giant. 103 astronomical units are approximately 2 times the distance between the Sun and Pluto. Since the two stars are so far from one another, they take approximately 800 years to orbit around each other. So, how are the spirals created? In the most basic sense, the red giant releases carbon material. This material then combines to form larger molecules, which create fine black dust. This dust covers the red giant and blocks all or most of its light. The blue-white star's gravitational pull tugs the dust toward itself and away from the red giant, but most of the dust ends up escaping into space during the process. As the two binary stars circle each other, the black dust escapes outward to form a spiral. After determining how the spirals were created, scientists wondered how the system was being illuminated. The dust being dispelled is dark and has no illumination qualities of its own, yet it could still be seen. The star could not have illuminated the spirals because it was also covered in the black dust, so scientists determined that the spirals were being illuminated by our own galaxy, the Milky Way. Interestingly, this is the only celestial body that is not illuminated by sunlight, starlight, or fluorescence that has been photographed. While these phenomena might occur similarly in other systems, they were not officially discovered before AFGL 3068. This is because these phenomena can be difficult to find. First, the red giant is consistently losing significant amounts of mass in the form of black dust. That level of mass loss can only be temporary, and scientists must be in the right place at the right time. Second, the giant would have to be part of a binary system orbiting around another star big enough to have a large enough gravitational pull to draw in the black dust. This fantastic new discovery could help scientists and astronomers solve the many mysteries in other systems that were unsolvable before the discovery on AFGL 3068. Mars is humming. The InSight rover landed on Mars in November 2018, landing near the equator of the red planet. NASA's robot has been measuring the planet's seismic activity and conducting tests on its geographic qualities. Its mission is to understand and learn about the geology of rocky planets to observe their evolution and gain some more understanding about Earth's history and potential future. Scientists cannot get enough data on rocky planets just from Earth. They need to gather information from others. InSight landed in the Elysium Planitia, a small crater located on a volcanic plain. This location is often caught in wind and dust storms. The data it has gathered so far suggests that the seismic activity and magnetic field on Mars are much stronger than the researchers estimated, about 10 times more. While collecting data, the rover recorded a strange humming sound that researchers and experts have not been able to concretely identify the cause of. They have their speculations, though, and suggest it is caused by both seismic movement below the surface as well as the wind above it. When combined together, these two forces create a strange sound. The hum actually cannot be heard by humans. It falls outside our frequency range but gets picked up on readings by the robot and its machines. so any future human visitors will not be able to hear Mars humming. The researchers are excited at finding so many similarities between Mars and Earth. The infrasound, sound we can't hear, and the atmospheric turbulence are encouraging to their studies on finding out Mars's history and seeing what its timeline looks like compared to ours. Interestingly enough, Earth also has a faint infrasound humming to it. There have been reports of a hum that have been a hot debate for many years, even outside the astronomy community. Scientists can't really explain it, but many people try to blame it for certain diseases and health issues. There have been many locations across Earth that have complained of some sort of noise pollution and mysterious humming sounds. Now, InSight has identified a similar one on Mars. The robot was using a seismometer to measure the quakes underneath the planet. Since its first reading, it has measured over 400 quakes. It even managed to find fault lines on Mars, which confirms the constant seismic activity found. A few of the quakes have registered at 3 to 4 magnitudes, but most of them were so small that the machines and scientists were unable to detect their origin. Researchers also found that there are more quakes on Mars when the planet gets cold. When it cools down, it contracts, which forces the brittle layers near the surface to break in a way to accommodate their positioning. This breaking is causing stress on the surface that results in quakes. There are still many mysteries that the InSight researchers are excited about delving into, like how they recorded some type of activity at Mars's depth. They believe there might even be hot magma still at its core. They will continue to measure the activity and gather as much knowledge about Mars's geological history as possible.
In Norway, a dedicated team of researchers is currently engaged in an extensive exploration of a frozen lake where an unidentified flying object reportedly collided 77 years ago. This intriguing investigation, captured in a detailed video, aims to shed light on the enigmatic events that unfolded in the village of Røros in the year 1947. The quest to uncover the truth behind this legendary sighting involves meticulous examination and analysis of the area, along with interviewing eyewitnesses who have been passed down the story of what happened. The village's mayor during that period asserted witnessing a mysterious object descending and hitting Lake Djupsjön. According to photographer Ru Rostad, the mayor described it as resembling a rocket and emitting a considerable amount of noise. Ru Rostad further recollected that this unidentified craft abruptly changed its course and smoothly landed in the lake. This intriguing incident was documented by Coast to Coast AM. It is worth noting that witnesses like Ru Rostad played a crucial role in providing detailed and first-hand accounts of the event. The mayor's vivid description and Ru Rostad's recollection shed light on the surreal nature of what happened. The search for the elusive craft has been futile up to this point, but a breakthrough has occurred with the utilization of advanced sonar search technology, leading to a fascinating revelation. Despite prior unsuccessful efforts to locate the presumed vessel, recent advancements in sonar scanning have unveiled an intriguing development. Rostad is leading the search efforts and has disclosed that advanced technology has identified an anomaly measuring 46 feet in length and 10 feet in width. The sonar imaging displayed in the video appears to hold potential for individuals seeking discoveries, yet despite extensive exploration by the deep dive team in the lake, no findings have been made as of yet. This discovery, under the guidance of Rostad, has sparked intrigue and anticipation among enthusiasts eager to unravel the mystery hidden beneath the water's surface. The detailed analysis and persistent search efforts to uncover the enigmatic anomaly reflect the team's unwavering commitment to discovering the truth behind what happened. In spite of the ongoing unresolved status of the situation, Arnulf Loken, a prominent Norwegian UFO researcher, expressed his enthusiasm regarding the search, characterizing it as exciting. According to Loken, this investigation represents a significant milestone in Norway's UFO exploration endeavors, being deemed as one of the most extensive operations in the history of the country dedicated to studying unidentified flying objects. Interestingly enough, this encounter reminded many of the Falcon Lake incident. Inarguably, a profoundly captivating and potentially one of the most reliable UFO sightings, not just in the year 1967, but conceivably throughout history, took place in the scenic landscapes of Canada. This extraordinary event was not only remarkable for its time, but has also left a lasting imprint on the annals of UFO encounters. The incident that took place on the 20th of May 1967, commonly known as the Michalak encounter, continues to be a topic of interest and investigation in present times. On that particular day, Stefan Michalak, a 51-year-old mechanic, was exploring the rugged and dense woodlands bordering Falcon Lake in pursuit of rare, valuable, or intriguing minerals. This expedition took place within the confines of Whiteshell Provincial Park in the Manitoba region of Canada, a significant distance of approximately 80 miles from his residence in Winnipeg. While engrossed in examining what he believed to be a piece of quartz crystal, a sudden uproar from the surrounding wildlife captured his attention. Gazing skyward, Stefan observed two luminous red oval-shaped entities through the canopy of trees, swiftly advancing towards him. Upon closer inspection, he noticed the unusual speed at which these objects were approaching, escalating the intrigue of the encounter. The unexpected convergence of wildlife commotion and the emergence of the enigmatic glowing shapes infused a sense of curiosity and mild apprehension within Stefan, prompting a mixed rush of emotions. The surreal nature of the sighting and the swift movement of the objects left him momentarily stunned, his mind contemplating the possible origins and intentions of these mysterious visitors. As he gazed ahead, observing the scene unfold before him, one of the objects descended gracefully, finally settling on a cluster of rugged rocks situated roughly 160 feet away from his vantage point. Simultaneously, the second object remained suspended above him at a distance of about 15 feet, seemingly in perfect equilibrium. Suddenly, without warning, it swiftly ascended into the sky, propelled by an unseen force, disappearing into the vast expanse above. In a secluded spot on the rocks, the mysterious object maintained its position, mirroring the stillness of Michalak, who was observant of the unfolding events. A sensation of intense warmth enveloped the air, creating an unusual ambience around him. The object underwent a remarkable transformation, a spectacle that captivated Michalak's attention as it cycled through a series of color changes. Initially crimson, then transitioning to a somber grey, before finally settling into a radiant hue resembling hot stainless steel embellished with a golden aura. In his later account, Michalak described the door of the craft as having a unique combination of being square yet with rounded edges, further detailing how a vibrant purple light emanated from within the mysterious object. Additionally, he vividly recounted experiencing waves of warm air enveloping him and the unmistakable scent of sulfur lingering in the air. The mention of the sulfur smell holds particular significance, as it is a common element noticed in various encounters of close extraterrestrial contact. This observation not only adds to the authenticity of his experience, but also aligns with recurring themes in similar reports of such encounters. As he approached the mysterious craft, a distinct buzzing noise, reminiscent of a rapid-running miniature electric motor, resonated in his ears. The closer he moved, the clearer the voices became, and he gradually discerned that they were indeed human, albeit with extremely high pitches. The atmosphere around the craft seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy, intensifying his curiosity. As he inched closer, the voices grew in clarity, eventually revealing their human quality, albeit significantly high-pitched. Initially crimson, then transitioning to a somber grey, before finally settling into a radiant hue resembling hot stainless steel embellished with a golden aura. In his later account, Michalak described the door of the craft as having a unique combination of being square yet with rounded edges, further detailing how a vibrant purple light emanated from within the mysterious object. Additionally, he vividly recounted experiencing waves of warm air enveloping him and the unmistakable scent of sulfur lingering in the air. The mention of the sulfur smell holds particular significance, as it is a common element noticed in various encounters of close extraterrestrial contact. This observation not only adds to the authenticity of his experience, but also aligns with recurring themes in similar reports of such encounters. As he approached the mysterious craft, a distinct buzzing noise, reminiscent of a rapid-running miniature electric motor, resonated in his ears. The closer he moved, the clearer the voices became, and he gradually discerned that they were indeed human, albeit with extremely high pitches. The atmosphere around the craft seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy, intensifying his curiosity. As he inched closer, the voices grew in clarity, eventually revealing their human quality, albeit significantly high-pitched. In a bid to establish communication, he vocalized in a variety of languages, spanning from English and Russian to French, Italian, and Ukrainian. However, his calls remained unanswered. Drawing nearer to the enigmatic vessel, he found himself in such proximity that he could almost feel its surface. Equipping himself with the protective eyewear typically utilized for chiseling rocks, he resolved to peer inside the craft. With a deep breath, he cautiously extended his head through the entrance, intrigued by what lay beyond. The mysterious allure of the alien structure beckoned him, stirring a mix of apprehension and curiosity within him. In the midst of his surroundings, a complex network of vibrant lights awaited him, some flickering incessantly. Among them were straight beams traversing both horizontal and diagonal paths. As he observed, the lights seemed to lack any discernible arrangement or order, operating in what he perceived as a haphazard manner. Shifting his focus downward, he scrutinized the floor, detecting a seamless surface without any visible seams or connections to the overhead walls. This peculiar lack of distinct boundaries is a recurring detail often noted in numerous encounters involving unidentified flying objects. The spacecraft's tilting movement resulted in one of its machines coming into contact with the man's chest, causing him to experience an immediate and intense searing pain across his torso. What alarmed him even more was the fact that his glove had partially melted from his hand, and his shirt had caught fire. In response, he quickly moved away from the craft, shedding the burning shirt in the process. At that moment, he also observed that the craft had lifted slightly off the ground. Suddenly, a rush of hot air enveloped him, and just as swiftly as it had appeared, the object ascended rapidly into the sky. This series of events left him with a mixture of physical discomfort and awe at the disappearing craft. Upon reflection, Macalac paused to compose himself, his mind clouded with bewilderment and searing agony as he gradually made his way towards his parked vehicle, situated along the highway. His destination was Misericordia Hospital, where he sought treatment for the severe burns that plagued his chest. After seeking medical assistance, he proceeded to inform the Royal Canadian Mounted Police about the incident, although their response was limited to compiling a basic report, offering minimal assistance in addressing the situation. Upon the emergence of the incident in the local media and radio broadcasts, a plethora of UFO investigators were swiftly drawn to the scene, driven by a keen interest to engage with Michalak and delve deeper into the mysterious occurrence. Notably, Michalak bore a peculiar checkered burn mark on his chest, suspected to have been sustained during his contact with the machinery inside the unidentified object. In the aftermath, he grappled with severe illness for an extended period, marked by persistent bouts of intense nausea and the struggle to retain any form of sustenance. Furthermore, several weeks later, Michalak began to manifest distressing symptoms, including painful blisters on his torso and an unusual rash that traced a distinct V-shaped pattern from his ears down to his chest. The lingering effects of the encounter continued to afflict Michalak long after the initial incident, portraying a complex and enduring narrative of his ordeal. Throughout the next several weeks, despite experiencing a return to normal health overall, the individual continued to face intermittent health setbacks. A notable incident occurred in September of 1967, when he once again sought medical attention due to the emergence of peculiar, sizable spots on his torso. Additionally, he reported experiencing a pronounced sensation of heat and discomfort around his neck and chest region. These symptoms were accompanied by sporadic instances of lightheadedness and significant swelling in the joints of his hands. This ongoing struggle with health issues highlighted the complexity and unpredictability of his condition during this period. Despite temporary periods of improvement, the individual faced persistent challenges and fluctuations in his well-being, underscoring the need for continued monitoring and care. Following a period of initial disinterest in his account, Michalak's claims gained traction due to mounting pressure from UFO researchers and public intrigue, prompting the RCMP and the Canadian Air Force to undertake a more thorough investigation. As the inquiry progressed, Michalak, accompanied by investigators and an electrical engineer, successfully pinpointed the exact location of the incident. To the astonishment of all involved, a distinct and unmistakable outline of the ship was discovered imprinted on the ground, becoming a pivotal piece of tangible evidence in the case's unfolding narrative. This unexpected turn of events not only heightened the seriousness of the investigation, but also fueled further curiosity and speculation among both the authorities and the wider community following the case. In addition to retrieving the charred shirt torn from his back by Michalak upon being propelled from the spacecraft, efforts were made to collect any remaining fragments. Observers also noted a concerning phenomenon in the area surrounding the craft's touchdown site. The trees and vegetation appeared to be desiccated and lifeless, indicating a significant impact on the immediate environment. This occurrence raised questions about the potential environmental repercussions of the craft's presence, hinting at the possibility of a more profound ecological disturbance than initially perceived. The occurrence at Falcon Lake ultimately lingers as an enigma, perpetuating intrigue and speculation within UFO research circles. Despite the lack of definitive answers, a significant number of experts in the field consider Stefan Michalak to be a highly credible observer, viewing his account as both genuine and sincere. Tragically, Michalak's passing transpired in October 1999, precisely 32 years subsequent to the mysterious encounter, at the age of 83. The CIA document, The Adam and Eve Story by Dr. Chan Thomas, discloses that Earth experiences cataclysmic events roughly every 6,500 years, resulting in the annihilation and regeneration of civilizations. He proposed that these cataclysms are natural, cyclical phenomena that alter the Earth's surface and human history. Oddly enough, shortly after it was published in 1966, after the CIA classified it, it was quickly removed from the public domain. The book discusses significant catastrophes such as pole shifts, mass extinctions, and the recurrent annihilation of advanced civilizations. It remained largely concealed until certain segments were disclosed years later. The declassified CIA document by Dr. Chan Thomas indicates that Earth experiences cataclysmic events roughly every 6,500 years, resulting in the annihilation and regeneration of civilizations. He proposed that these cataclysms are natural, cyclical phenomena that alter the Earth's surface and human history. Currently, just 57 pages are accessible. Nevertheless, they are extensively redacted, raising numerous inquiries on the book's actual content. Individuals are intrigued by the reasons this book may be deemed perilous and the rationale for the CIA's desire for its concealment. American electrical engineer and psychic Dr. Chan Thomas developed a theory of worldwide apocalypse in which drastic changes in Earth's electromagnetic fields cause the crust to become more viscous, accelerating continental drift. In the 1950s, Dr. Thomas served as a project engineer for Bell Aircraft's missile guidance system and Douglas Aircraft's Skyhawk program. Subsequently, in the late 1960s, he was employed by McDonnell Douglas to collaborate with Robert Wood's Advanced Concepts Research and Development Team, which focused on UFO and other science projects. The concept of pole shifts has captivated scientists and sparked arguments for numerous years. Charles Hapgood was among the initial proponents of this approach in the mid-20th century. He posited that the Earth's outer layer could shift over the interior layers, resulting in a change in the position of the poles. According to Hapgood's notion of Earth's crustal displacement, these shifts might occur quite quickly and cause significant changes to the planet's climate and topography. Initially, numerous scientists dismissed Hapgood's theories, but he garnered attention when Albert Einstein expressed interest in his research. Although Hapgood's theory did not gain widespread acceptance, it facilitated further investigation into the potential alterations of the Earth's magnetic poles. Currently, it is understood that the magnetic poles actually shift, albeit usually at a gradual pace. The potential for swift, catastrophic changes continues to be a focus of active investigation. A terrifying forecast regarding abrupt pole changes was made by Dr. Chan Thomas, and he posited that these changes may occur rapidly, potentially within a single day, and result in significant calamities. He stated that these rapid alterations could precipitate significant earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis, culminating in extensive destruction. Although the majority of scientists express skepticism over such swift transitions, the concept continues to engage the curiosity of both scholars and the general populace. Mass extinctions have destroyed numerous species throughout Earth's history, altering the trajectory of life on our planet. Certain scientists propose that these extinctions may be linked to polar shifts or other significant geological occurrences. This era experienced a substantial decline in global temperatures, attributed by some to a comet impact or a major pole shift. Theories of ancient, highly developed civilizations that might have been wiped out by unexpected disasters have also been sparked by these tragic occurrences. Proponents of these theories contend that evidence of these ancient civilizations is discernible in myths and enigmatic archaeological sites. Nevertheless, conventional archaeologists exercise caution and emphasize the necessity for more substantial evidence prior to altering our concept of history. Certain experts propose that significant environmental changes may have influenced the flood narratives across diverse cultures. It is believed that ancient individuals, witnessing the devastation caused by rising seas, transmitted these narratives to caution others on nature's might. In his book, Dr. Chan Thomas goes one step further and claims that these flood myths are based on actual catastrophes brought on by changes in the Earth's poles and other catastrophic occurrences, rather than being merely fanciful stories. He contends that these tales serve as historical accounts of earlier calamities that nearly wiped humanity. Thomas posits that our predecessors crafted these narratives to commemorate events and caution future generations about their potential reoccurrence. Throughout history, human civilizations have risen, flourished, and eventually fallen, leaving behind remnants and mysteries of their existence. This pattern has led some researchers to theorize that humanity may indeed have a time limit, a built-in cycle of creation and collapse that recurs every few thousand years. From the ancient Sumerians and Egyptians to the classical Greek and Roman empires, history suggests that each civilization reaches a peak before succumbing to decline. The consistent recurrence of these falls has prompted questions about whether our current civilization might be subject to a similar fate. Could humanity be bound to a cycle of rise and collapse, destined to rebuild only to fall once again? The idea of civilizations having a time limit is not without basis. Historically, great societies have risen to unprecedented heights only to experience sudden or gradual declines. One of the earliest known civilizations, the Sumerians of ancient Mesopotamia, thrived around 4500 BCE. They established cities, created writing systems, and developed complex social and political structures. However, over time, factors such as environmental degradation, invasions, and internal conflict led to their decline, and eventually, the Sumerian civilization dissolved into other rising empires. Similarly, ancient Egypt enjoyed nearly 3,000 years of relative stability and cultural advancement. It was one of the longest-lasting civilizations in human history, and its achievements in architecture, medicine, and art were unparalleled. Yet, Egypt also fell, gradually losing power due to invasions, political fragmentation, and economic pressures. By the time of Cleopatra, the once great civilization was subsumed into the expanding Roman Empire. Another example is the Roman Empire, whose rise and fall remains one of the most studied cases of civilizational decline. At its peak, Rome controlled vast territories across Europe, North Africa, and Asia, and its influence shaped much of Western civilization. However, internal corruption, economic challenges, and relentless invasions by outside tribes eventually led to the collapse of Rome in 476 CE. The fall of Rome marked the end of classical antiquity and the beginning of the so-called Dark Ages in Europe, a period of reduced knowledge, cultural decline, and political instability. The patterns observed in ancient civilizations have led scholars to explore theories of cyclical collapse. One such theory is that of the Four Ages, an ancient Hindu concept that divides human history into repeating cycles: the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Each cycle represents a gradual decline in human morality and civilization, culminating in chaos and destruction before a new age begins. According to this theory, humanity is currently in the Kali Yuga, an era characterized by moral decay, conflict, and instability, signs that some interpret as precursors to a major civilizational reset. Similarly, The philosopher Oswald Spengler proposed in The Decline of the West that civilizations have a life cycle akin to that of living organisms. They are born, mature, grow old, and eventually die. He argued that Western civilization, like those before it, would also undergo a period of inevitable decline. Spengler's ideas have influenced historians and sociologists who study the life cycles of civilizations, suggesting that human societies may be subject to forces beyond their control that lead to eventual decay and collapse. Another theory, known as the Malthusian trap, posits that civilizations expand until they reach the limits of their resources, leading to collapse. This theory, based on the work of Thomas Malthus, suggests that population growth eventually surpasses the available resources, resulting in famine, conflict, and decline. The collapse of the Mayan civilization is often cited as a possible example, where a combination of drought, overpopulation, and resource depletion likely contributed to its downfall. The recurrence of civilizational collapse raises a pressing question. Is our modern global civilization bound to face a similar fate? Many researchers argue that while technology and globalization have advanced human society in unprecedented ways, these same factors have also increased the risk of widespread collapse. Unlike past civilizations, modern society is interdependent, with complex networks of trade, communication, and technology linking nearly every country. This interdependence, while a strength, also means that a crisis in one area can ripple across the globe, potentially destabilizing entire systems. Environmental degradation, climate change, and resource depletion are among the most significant challenges facing humanity today. While ancient societies like the Sumerians and Maya may have collapsed due to localized environmental factors, the modern world faces global environmental issues that impact all nations. In addition to environmental challenges, the rise of technology and artificial intelligence presents a double-edged sword. While these advancements hold the promise of solving many human problems, they also introduce risks such as economic inequality, loss of employment, and ethical dilemmas related to autonomy and surveillance. Some experts warn that without careful management, the rapid pace of technological change could destabilize societal structures, potentially leading to unrest or loss of control over powerful systems. While the theory of civilizational cycles suggests that collapse may be inevitable, there are lessons from history that modern society can use to potentially avoid repeating past mistakes. Resilience, adaptability, and sustainable practices are key to ensuring the longevity of any civilization. Ancient societies that failed to adapt to environmental changes, for example, were often the ones that faced the most severe declines. The fall of the Mayan civilization, believed to be partially due to environmental mismanagement, serves as a cautionary tale for the importance of sustainable resource use.
Mummies that they found in Peru that have three fingers.
The aliens.
Yeah, well, they don't know what they are, but they have three fingers, and not three fingers because they cut the fingers off. They actually, their structure genetically has three fingers. Mm-hmm. And their cranial capacity, they have a large head, which a lot of times they think was due to, they would form their head and like press boards to make their head stretch out, which they definitely did in some tribes.
Chinese do
but
with
the question is, why were they doing that? And then were they doing it to replicate something else?
Yeah, that's it.
So the thing about these is that they had a cranial capacity that is larger than most human beings.
Correct.
But is that real? Here's the question. Three-fingered alien mummies. Click on that article and see where are they getting this info. I know it was in New York Post. So three-fingered alien mummies found in Peru have fingerprints that do not appear to be human. So the fingerprints that it has, instead of spirals, I think they're lines.
The Nazca mummies, a series of unusual small-bodied mummified remains reportedly discovered in Peru near the ancient Nazca lines, have sparked global fascination and skepticism since they were first brought to public attention. Characterized by elongated heads, three-fingered hands, and other distinctive anatomical features, these mummies have inspired debates over their authenticity, origin, and biological classification. Recently, however, new findings regarding these mummies, including intact fingernails, embedded metal implants, and other unusual physical characteristics, have led some scientists to reconsider previous dismissals. This turn of events suggests that the Nazca mummies may indeed merit serious scientific investigation to determine their origins and whether they represent a new chapter in our understanding of ancient Peruvian civilizations or potentially undiscovered human variations. Discovered in 2015 and made widely known in 2017, the Nazca mummies quickly caught the attention of researchers, skeptics, and the general public. Initially dismissed as possible hoaxes, many experts speculated that the mummies could have been constructed from modified human and animal remains. However, recent re-examinations and advanced testing have revealed biological and technological features that may suggest otherwise. Several of the mummies have been found to possess intact fingernails, an anomaly if they were indeed fabricated, as previous critics suggested. These fingernails are finely detailed, consistent in size and shape, and appear to grow directly from the bone structure. The presence of well-preserved nails suggests a natural biological formation rather than an artificial construct, which would have likely involved cut-and-paste assembly. Another fascinating detail is the presence of metal implants embedded within the mummies' bodies. Preliminary analysis suggests that these small metal fragments may have been surgically implanted, a discovery that raises new questions about ancient medical practices and technological capabilities in pre-Columbian South America. The metals, which include traces of titanium and other alloys not typically associated with ancient Peruvian civilizations, are often embedded in joint areas, suggesting potential therapeutic or structural purposes. These findings have led some scientists to speculate that the mummies could represent a population with knowledge of early surgical practices, including metalwork, a possibility that challenges established beliefs about pre-Columbian technological advancement. The recent scientific interest in the Nazca mummies has inspired a shift in perception within the academic community. Initially, many experts dismissed the mummies as modern fabrications, suggesting that they were created by looters or hoaxers for profit. However, the discovery of fingernails, along with the chemical composition of the implants, has led some scientists to adopt a more cautious approach, urging further research before drawing conclusions. One of the most surprising developments is the biological analysis of the mummy's skeletal structure, which exhibits anatomical differences from known human remains. These differences include an unusual ribcage shape, joint positioning, and the three-fingered hands. Some experts argue that these differences could indicate a genetic condition or an undiscovered population with unique physical characteristics. However, others suggest that such anatomical distinctions may have had ritualistic or symbolic significance, as some ancient cultures are known to have practiced body modification. Either way, the unique anatomy has fueled speculation, with some proposing that these mummies might represent a previously unknown species or even extraterrestrial beings, although most scientists remain cautious about such explanations. The rediscovery and reassessment of the Nazca mummies underscore the importance of an open-minded scientific approach. Historically, archaeological finds that defy explanation often face skepticism, and it is not unusual for initial assessments to be conservative. However, the Nazca mummies present several compelling physical features that defy easy categorization. Recognizing this, researchers have advocated for rigorous scientific inquiry, including DNA analysis, to determine whether the mummies are human, an unknown hominid species, or an entirely separate lineage. The possibility of discovering new human variations or connections with ancient Andean cultures would be transformative for archaeology, reshaping our understanding of the past and expanding our knowledge of human diversity. International interest has led several research institutions to express interest in further study. Advanced scanning techniques, such as CT imaging, have been used to non-invasively examine the mummy's internal structures. Preliminary scans reveal that the mummy's bones appear to be natural rather than artificially assembled, and that the skeletal structure is consistent throughout the body. These findings lend credibility to the theory that the mummies are genuine biological entities rather than constructs. Further DNA testing could help determine genetic links between these mummies and known Andean populations, potentially revealing surprising insights into their ancestry, diet, and health. The Nazca mummies also have cultural significance, prompting a re-evaluation of ancient South American civilizations' technological and medical knowledge. If the metal implants are indeed intentional and functional, this would suggest that pre-Columbian societies possessed surgical and metallurgical skills far more advanced than previously thought. Such capabilities would challenge existing narratives about ancient Andean cultures and raise questions about the transmission of medical and technological knowledge across civilizations. These discoveries have also inspired indigenous communities to call for a respectful investigation, one that honors the mummy's historical and cultural significance without sensationalism. As scientists continue to study the Nazca mummies, the broader implications of their findings could reshape the fields of archaeology, anthropology, and even medicine. With more advanced tools and a renewed scientific interest, researchers may soon provide answers to the questions surrounding these mysterious remains. Although many hypotheses are being considered, ranging from undiscovered human variations to evidence of sophisticated ancient medical practices, most experts agree that these discoveries require careful, unbiased exploration. Cliff Miles, a renowned paleontologist, has recently turned his attention to one of the most mysterious and controversial archaeological discoveries of our time, the Nazca mummies. These mummies, allegedly unearthed near the famous Nazca lines in Peru, have captured the imagination of scientists, historians, and researchers alike. With claims of their non-human origins, the Nazca mummies present a fascinating yet contentious subject for scientific inquiry. Cliff Miles has built a distinguished career in paleontology, specializing in the study of prehistoric life. With numerous significant discoveries and publications to his name, Miles is respected for his meticulous approach to fossil excavation and analysis. He recently said the following: "Here is an update on my current research for an updated description of the bodies that I will send out for peer review. I personally removed all of the diatomaceous earth off of Josefina when I went to Peru. Her skin is complete and intact for her entire body. No seams and no scars, no way to create a fake of any kind. She is sound. If there is a scar, it is under her medical device that is on her chest. She has had her clavicles operated on, with the medial portion of them being removed. I fully expect alien medicine to be superior to our own. I worked with 14 specimens while I was in Peru, 7 bodies and 7 skulls. 50 specimens are reported as having been recovered, 25 complete bodies and 27 skulls. I have been able to document 26 specimens. I will be using this material for my updated paper, which I will have peer-reviewed. I have photos, X-rays and CT scans for nearly all of these specimens. They are indeed mummies, and they have gone through a mummification process. They are not fossils, nor have they been calcified. They have soft tissues and bone, much like they were when they were alive, except they are now dry and hard. When we used an endoscope to explore the inside of the 7 skulls, not one brain was encountered inside the cranium. I was wrong about the foramen magnums being square. It is likely going to be round or oval. I now believe that as part of the mummification process, a tool was used to enlarge the foramen magnums so that their brains could be removed as part of the mummification ritual by whomever was performing the process. I missed that in my description, which I will correct in the new paper. Fabric wrappings were used as well. We recovered strands of cotton from inside and outside of the loose skulls. I personally discovered that one of the 7 skulls clearly has the remains of the fabric wrapping impression on the outside of the skull. I am currently of the opinion that the fabric was used to hold the metal implants in place during the process of their mummification ritual. I am of the opinion that the metal implants are a post-mortem addition for their ritual process, and I can only guess as to why. I have some ideas that I think can be tested, but that will have to wait until I get back to Peru. We cut open one of the skulls in order to collect bone samples. The interior of the skull was clean enough inside that I could clearly see the coronal suture. I was very happy about this because my visual inspection of the interior of the skull confirmed what I had described using the CT scans that I had. In the complete bodies, the CT scans show that their brains remain. Regarding the implants on Josefina and Luisa, I believe that their barbel-shaped implants were removed and then reapplied after their passing. I am still of the opinion that their implants are medical devices. Their bodies were subjected to at least 2 applications of dipping in order to better preserve the bodies. The first consists of some kind of resin. I could smell it when my son was opening the skull, and we decided to take samples from it. You can see that on some of the bodies that the resin application has at least 2 different consistencies. Josephina clearly has particulates in her resin application. Paul clearly has drip lines, as well as an area where the first application missed covering his skin, and that is why we have that area where his skin pattern is so nicely preserved. The second application was with diatomaceous earth. I believe that a slurry was used as a dry application. You can clearly see drip lines on the skull of one specimen. This mummification process and the dry Peruvian environment is what has allowed these specimens to remain intact. I am now studying bone growth, osteology. This is also one of the reasons that I will need to have more time for the next paper. I hope to have this paper come out in 2024. The university where these specimens are housed was having free viewing days for people to come and see the material for themselves. To my knowledge, not one single person who has gone to Peru to see this material for themselves has come away thinking that they are fraudulent. If you or anyone wants to directly view the specimens housed in Peru, contact the Universidad Nacional San Luis Gonzaga of Ica. I believe in my work, and I stand by it. You are free to quote anything and everything I have written. Sincerely, Cliff Miles. Mr. Alberto, a researcher posting updates about the mysterious Nazca mummies, has just come forward and said that a new discovery that was made a few hours ago is going to completely rewrite human history. Mr. Alberto said there is a giant head among the biological finds from Nazca, of a humanoid being approximately 8 meters in height, adding that new X-rays will be released which will change human history forever. This is just the latest update to come from this region in regards to the mysterious Nazca mummies. The Nazca mummy claims center around a series of bizarre humanoid remains allegedly unearthed near the Nazca lines by a team of Peruvian and international researchers. These purported mummies, described as small, humanoid figures with elongated skulls and unusual features, have been presented as evidence of an ancient pre-Columbian civilization that predates the Inca Empire. But as of right now, this 8-meter-tall humanoid is by far the biggest one that's been discovered. The initial reports of the Nazca mummies sparked widespread skepticism and controversy within the scientific community, with many experts dismissing them as elaborate hoaxes or products of modern tampering. However, as more evidence and documentation have emerged, many researchers have begun to take the claims more seriously, recognizing the potential significance of the findings if proven authentic. In the United States, scientists and archaeologists have started to investigate the Nazca mummy claims with a cautious but open-minded approach. Recognizing the need for rigorous scientific analysis and verification, teams of researchers from institutions such as the Smithsonian Institution and the University of California, Los Angeles, have expressed interest in examining the alleged mummies and associated artifacts. One of the key areas of inquiry for American scientists is the authenticity of the Nazca mummies and their potential cultural and historical significance. Using advanced techniques such as radiocarbon dating, DNA analysis, and CT scanning, researchers hope to determine the age, origin, and biological characteristics of the mummified remains, shedding light on the people who created them and their place in ancient Andean society. The esteemed expert in forensics, Dr. John McDowell, has actively participated in the investigation concerning the purportedly non-human mummies discovered in Peru. Dr. McDowell said that in the initial phases of their research endeavor, they were granted access to all the resources that had been requested, and this was done without any concealment or secrecy. This transparent and open approach marked the genesis of their investigative journey. Dr. John McDowell boasts an illustrious military career, having served as a former colonel in the U.S. Army and being the recipient of numerous accolades from the U.S. Department of Defense. Furthermore, he holds the esteemed title of Professor Emeritus at the University of Colorado and has notably held the prestigious position of President of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences. In recognition of his significant contributions to the field of forensic sciences, Dr. McDowell was honored with the prestigious 2024 Gradwell Medallion, a distinguished award widely regarded as the highest form of peer recognition within the forensic sciences community. The most capable team from the United States is currently present in Peru, actively engaged in on-site research on the human remains. If granted the necessary permissions and resources to continue their investigation effectively, there is a promising prospect of uncovering valuable insights and revelations. This esteemed group, renowned for their expertise and dedication, is devoting meticulous attention to examining the archaeological remains in Peru. Among the group was Dr. James Caruso, Chief Medical Examiner and Coroner of the City and County of Denver, Colorado; Dr. William Rodriguez, Forensic Anthropologist, Maryland State Medical Examiner, and previously mentioned Dr. John McDowell, Retired Professor at University Colorado, Forensic Odontologist. Dr. John McDowell said that they could have not been more professional, and that data was made readily available to them. Ever since the controversy surrounding the Nazca mummies emerged, a notable player in opposition to the investigation has been the Peruvian Ministry of Culture. Firm in their stance, they have consistently contended that these preserved remains are merely elaborate dolls crafted by grave robbers with the intention of illicitly profiting from their sale on the underground market. During a recent presentation, a representative from the Ministry of Culture made an unsuccessful attempt to disrupt the proceedings. It appears that there was an expectation for Moussan and his team to physically present the mummified bodies at the event, a misconception that was swiftly dispelled. However, as the presentation unfolded, crucial insights were provided by American scientists who were present, offering their long-awaited expert analysis on the matter. This ongoing saga underscores the deep-rooted skepticism and divergent perspectives surrounding the authenticity and significance of the Nazca mummies, highlighting the complex interplay of cultural preservation, scientific inquiry, and commercial interests in such contentious archaeological debates. Dr. John McDowell, a respected retired professor and forensic odontologist from the University of Colorado, stands out as a prominent figure among his peers and took the lead in representing their collective stance. Their unanimous conclusion emphasized the urgent necessity for thorough investigations into the bodies in question, firmly refuting any claims of their authenticity. This pivotal revelation paves the way for academic institutions to delve deeper into the examination of the Nazca mummy specimens. Such a critical juncture not only underscores the significance of further scrutiny, but also highlights the potential for a multitude of scholarly establishments to engage with these samples, facilitating additional comprehensive studies and analysis. It's just been announced in the last few days that 2 new Nazca humanoids have been discovered, and oddly enough, their fingerprints are said to be completely different to that of a human's. Upon viewing the images, a significant number of individuals expressed their profound admiration, highlighting the challenging nature of replicating a fingerprint, as attested by many observers. The intricate details captured in the photographs left a lasting impression, with viewers acknowledging the complexity involved, adding that it would be very difficult to fake a fingerprint. In a profound reflection on the Nazca discoveries, a user highlighted the distinct physical and biological attributes that define our individuality. This observation shed light on a novel revelation concerning these remarkable findings. Delving into the depths of these Nazca discoveries, the user emphasized the significance of recognizing the unique traits that set us apart as individuals. Amid recent revelations, it has come to light that the Peruvian government is facing a substantial lawsuit amounting to $300 million. The heart of this issue lies in the lack of assistance provided by Peruvian authorities to those delving into these significant discoveries. Instead of support, the investigators have encountered adversity in the form of insults and discreditation hurled at them by officials who have gone so far as to label them as deceivers. In a secluded area of Peru, the story takes place as indigenous inhabitants chance upon a remarkable spectacle, an unconventional item, partly concealed in the ground. Upon thorough examination, they discover what seems to be the remnants of an extraterrestrial entity, a humanoid form displaying unfamiliar physical traits like elongated extremities, a large skull, and uniquely non-human attributes. The locals, taken aback by this find, promptly inform the authorities, sparking a wave of intrigue and investigation. This discovery incites a profound fascination among the populace as scientists, researchers, and curious onlookers flock to the site to scrutinize and unravel the mysteries surrounding this enigmatic being. In the midst of escalating curiosity surrounding the alleged extraterrestrial being, a team of dedicated researchers sets out on an exhaustive and thorough investigation, delving deep into the intricate details of its physical characteristics and makeup. As they meticulously examine every aspect, a particular focus is placed on the hands of the enigmatic creature, revealing a fascinating discovery, a set of fingerprints that defy all known patterns observed in the human species. This unprecedented revelation sparks a new wave of intrigue and raises profound questions about the origins and nature of this mysterious entity. Through a meticulous examination of the extraterrestrial being's fingerprints, researchers have unveiled intricate patterns characterized by distinct ridges and whorls that elude any resemblance to established human fingerprint archetypes. The baffling uniqueness of these prints has left experts puzzled, hinting at a potential divergence in evolutionary lineage or a wholly distinct origin for the enigmatic creature. The unveiling of the distinct fingerprints on the extraterrestrial body sparks intense debates and conjecture, not only among scientists, but also in broader circles. Doubters cast shadows of uncertainty on the genuineness of the discoveries, casting doubt on both the trustworthiness of the examinations and the validity of the assertions. The emergence of these peculiar fingerprints on the alien organism has set off a maelstrom of discussions, with various factions offering contrasting viewpoints on the matter. Proponents advocating for the discovery assert that the existence of distinct fingerprints offers convincing proof regarding the extraterrestrial source of the alien entity. They highlight the detailed procedures and thorough examination carried out by specialists, reinforcing the credibility of the results. This breakthrough prompts profound inquiries into the essence of life outside our planet and challenges our comprehension of the universe. The presence of these unique fingerprints not only supports the claim of the alien body's origin from beyond Earth, but also invites contemplation on the potential implications for humanity's perception of existence in a vast cosmos. Others have questioned whether these discoveries are hybrids. The reported identification of an extraterrestrial being possessing distinct fingerprints carries profound implications for humanity's perception of the cosmos and our position in it. Should this discovery be verified, it would mark a significant advancement in our pursuit of comprehending the enigmas surrounding life beyond Earth. Such confirmation would not only represent a groundbreaking achievement, but also challenge established beliefs regarding evolution and the biological realm, prompting a reassessment of the potential diversity and intricacies of organisms existing elsewhere in the universe. This revelation has the potential to reshape our understanding of the vast expanse of the cosmos and the potential existence of life forms that differ significantly from those known to us. The breakthrough has the potential to transform the field of forensic science significantly and revolutionize the way fingerprint analysis is approached, presenting fresh perspectives on the origins and variety of life in the vast universe. Delving into the unique characteristics of extraterrestrial life forms' fingerprints may reveal valuable insights into their evolutionary trajectories and biological diversities, contributing to a deeper understanding of the intricate mechanisms that shape life across the cosmos. Scientists have just announced that scans on the two aliens presented in Mexico suggest that they are not assembled or manipulated. Scientists and academics, in their ongoing effort to maintain credibility and uphold scientific rigor, have refuted the veracity of the findings presented by these researchers, regarding them as yet another publicity stunt. In Mexico City, medical professionals working at a laboratory conducted X-ray and CT scans on the bodies, utilizing advanced imaging techniques to examine and analyze them in detail. In terms of uncovering the truth behind the alleged hybrid bodies found in Mexico, it is important to note that José de Jesus Zalqui Benitez, the director of the Health Sciences Research Institute of the Secretary of the Navy, led the investigations and concluded that there was no evidence of assembly or manipulation of the bodies. This finding directly contradicts previous suggestions that the bodies were constructed using a combination of animal and human bones. As curiosity surrounding the alien body grew, researchers decided to subject it to a series of scientific tests, including X-ray imaging, to reveal its internal structure and composition. The X-rays unveiled startling details about the creature's anatomy, including a peculiar metal implant lodged in its neck, a discovery that only deepened the mystery surrounding its origin and purpose. The presence of the metal implant fueled speculation about the creature's origins and its potential connection to extraterrestrial beings. Some suggested that the implant served as a tracking device or communication device, allowing the creature to interact with its alien counterparts or navigate unfamiliar terrain. Others proposed more sinister explanations, such as experimentation or manipulation by unknown forces. The purported discovery of an alien body in Peru and the revelation of the metal implant have profound implications for humanity and our understanding of the universe. If confirmed, the discovery could represent a paradigm shift in our understanding of life beyond Earth, confirming that we are not alone in the cosmos. Speculation abounds about the origins and motivations of the alleged alien body, with theories ranging from interstellar travelers to clandestine government experiments. Some suggest that the creature may have crash-landed on Earth in a UFO, while others propose that it may be a genetically engineered being created by advanced civilizations. The possibility of extraterrestrial life has long intrigued humanity, fueling speculation, fascination, and scientific inquiry. Imagine a scenario in which this age-old question is definitively answered, and the existence of intelligent beings from other worlds is revealed to be real. The revelation of extraterrestrial life would constitute a seismic shift in our scientific understanding of the cosmos. For centuries, humanity has pondered the question of whether we are alone in the universe. The confirmation of alien life would validate the notion that life is not unique to Earth, but rather a common occurrence throughout the cosmos. This paradigm shift would revolutionize fields such as astrobiology, astronomy, and planetary science, prompting new avenues of research and exploration as scientists strive to understand the nature and diversity of extraterrestrial life forms. The discovery of extraterrestrial life would catalyze a wave of technological advancements as humanity endeavors to study, communicate with, and potentially visit these newfound neighbors in the cosmos. Breakthroughs in space exploration technologies, such as faster-than-light propulsion systems, advanced telescopes, and interstellar communication devices, would enable humanity to venture further into the cosmos and establish contact with alien civilizations. Moreover, the need to protect Earth from potential threats posed by extraterrestrial visitors would spur the development of enhanced planetary defense systems and surveillance technologies. Alien disclosure would have profound cultural and societal implications, reshaping our collective worldview and sense of identity. The revelation that we are not alone in the universe would foster a sense of cosmic interconnectedness and solidarity among humanity, transcending national borders, political divides, and cultural differences. It would inspire a newfound sense of wonder and curiosity about the cosmos, igniting a global renaissance of science, exploration, and discovery. So, what do you make of this new announcement? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comments section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Many of us are interested in unsolved mysteries. Some of these mysteries have been explained as the years have passed, and even more have been met with a general consensus as to their cause. Yet, there are several strange mysteries that have yet to be solved in the modern day, and it's these impossible to explain enigmas that have left us wanting answers. Soldiers turned into stone by cosmic beings. They say that truth is stranger than fiction. It's no secret that there are many strange things going on in our world that the general public will never know about, and we only hear about these things when officials decide to go on record and detail them, which helps us to better understand how we are truly left in the dark about some subjects. The argument could be made that sometimes this is for the best. However, others who have an interest in mysterious topics have often voiced their opinion about how they would love to know more. This is where the Freedom of Information Act comes in, and in recent years, it's helped online researchers uncover some bizarre and mysterious events. For those unaware, the Freedom of Information Act is a federal law that provides individuals with the right to access information held by government agencies. It was signed into law in 1966 with the goal of increasing transparency and accountability of the government to the public. Under the Freedom of Information Act, anyone can request access to records and information held by federal agencies, including documents, reports, and data. However, there are certain exemptions to the law, such as information that would compromise national security, personal privacy, or confidential business information. Freedom of Information Act requests must be made in writing, and agencies are required to respond to them within 20 business days. The Freedom of Information Act has been instrumental in promoting government transparency and facilitating investigative journalism. It has been used to uncover a wide range of information, from historical documents to details about government policies and procedures. Interestingly, in recent years, hundreds of thousands of documents have been published online, some of which have been done without the public's knowledge. There's some laws that state that officials have to release documents every couple of decades or so. One of these written laws in the United Kingdom is that of the 30-year rule, which states that certain government documents have to be released to the public 30 years after they were created. Due to hundreds of thousands of documents being released online in recent years, people are constantly finding strange writings that go on to detail mysterious events. And although many of them are not of interest and detail general administration work, some have caught people's attention. One such document goes into detail about 23 soldiers that were taken by 5 humanoid creatures. And this was after an encounter went wrong in Siberia back in 1993. The document details the following. After Mikhail Gorbachev dissolved in 1991, the KGB Top Secret Intelligence Administration, a lot of material from that department found their way abroad, in particular to the CIA. As reported by the authoritative magazine, US intelligence obtained a 250-page file on the attack of a UFO on a military unit in Siberia. The file contains not only many documentary photographs and drawings, but also testimonies by actual participants in the events. One of the Central Intelligence Agency representatives referred to this case as a horrific picture of revenge on the part of extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze. According to the KGB material, a quite low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer appeared above a military unit that was conducting routine training maneuvers. For unknown reasons, someone unexpectedly launched a surface-to-air missile and it hit the UFO. It fell to Earth not far away, and 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerged from it. It is stated in the testimonies by the 2 soldiers who remained alive that, after freeing themselves from the debris, the aliens came close together and then merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. That object began to buzz and hiss sharply and then became brilliant white. In a few seconds, the spheres grew much bigger and exploded by flaring up with an extremely bright light. At that very instant, 23 soldiers who had watched the phenomenon turned into stone poles. Only 2 soldiers who stood in the shade and were less exposed to the luminous explosion survived. The KGB report goes on to say that the remains of the UFO and the petrified soldiers were transferred to a secret scientific research institution near Moscow. Specialists assume that a source of energy that is still unknown to Earthlings instantly changes the structure of the soldiers' living organisms, having transformed it into a substance whose molecular composition is no different from that of limestone. A Central Intelligence Agency representative stated, "If the KGB file corresponds to reality, this is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond all our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves if attacked." End quote. People were surprised when they read this document, saying that it's the proof that they've been looking for. Another thing people noticed was that the Central Intelligence Agencies didn't dismiss this mysterious encounter. This document can be found on the official Central Intelligence Agency website. Memorandum 6751 is an interesting document that was released online by the FBI. It is quite a challenge to come across, but the aforementioned document is part of a vast collection of thousands, although it stands out due to its distinct nature. What sets it apart is its intricate exploration of enigmatic entities, advanced technological advancements, and intriguing gateways. The documentation was released in 2015 and has been used by researchers into the unknown as proof that we know of advanced beings. The document reads as follows. San Diego, California, July 8, 1947. A memorandum of importance. This memorandum is respectfully addressed to certain scientists or distinction to important astronomical and military authorities, to a number of public officials, and to the FOM publications. The writer has little expectation that everything of importance will be accomplished by this gesture. Nevertheless, it seems a public duty to make it available. The present writer has several university degrees and was formerly a university department head. A very serious situation may develop at any time with regard to the flying saucers. If one of those should be attacked, the attacking plane will almost certainly be destroyed. In the public mind, this might create near panic and international suspicion. The principal data concerning these craft is now at hand and must be offered, no matter how fantastic and unintelligible it may seem to mind not previously instructed in timing of this type. 1. Part of the discs carry crews, others are under remote control. 2. Their mission is peaceful. The visitors contemplate settling on this planet. 3. These visitors are human-like but much larger in size. 4. They come from their own world. 5. They do not come from any planet as we use this word, but from another planet which interpenetrates with our own and is not perceptible to us. 6. The bodies of the visitors and the craft also automatically materialize on entering the vibratory ratio of our dense matter. 7. The disk possesses a type of radiant energy, or a ray, which will easily disintegrate any attacking ship. They re-enter the Earth at will, and so simply disappear from our vision, without a trace. 8. The region from which they come is not the astral plane, but corresponds to the lokes or tails. Students of this matter will understand these terms. 9. They probably cannot be reached by radio, but probably can be by radar, if a signal system can be devised for that. We give information and warnings and can do no more. Let the newcomers be treated with every kindness. Unless the discs are withdrawn, a redacted with which our culture and science are incapable of redacted. A heavy responsibility rests upon those who are in authority to understand this matter." End quote. An interview with an individual named Billy featured on the next page, in which it details a boy called Billy who happened to photograph one of these strange objects, and which details that afterwards a strange agent decided to pay him a visit. The document reads as follows. The photograph in this clipping is alleged to represent a flying disc, which was observed by Billy Turenstein, a Norfolk schoolboy who was successful in photographing the object with his small camera. Billy was interviewed on August 8, 1947 by Special Agent Redacted, at which time Billy informed that the original negative was given by him to a Mr. Brown of the Photo Craftsman's Service. Billy advised that he has an agreement with Mr. Brown, whereby the latter will share equally in any profits derived from the use of the negative by commercial firms or newspapers. As of August 1947, Billy has not received any remuneration for the use of this negative. He informed me that he was sitting on the front porch of his apartment, which is located on the 3rd floor at 410 West. He had read numerous newspaper articles pertaining to flying discs and decided to sit on his porch in the hopes of seeing one and attempting to photograph it. On July 8, 1947, Billy observed a large black object moving rapidly through space, proceeding from the southwest to a northeast direction. He said the black object was followed by 2 smaller objects, which also proceeded in the same direction. Billy explained that the objects were moving at a very fast speed, which appeared to him to be much faster than the speed of an aeroplane, and further that the objects appeared to be extremely high. He said that they were much higher than the average plane travels in the city of Norfolk, and appeared to be above the clouds. Billy was unable to state what the black objects represented. He said, though, that the objects were at such a great distance from him that it was not necessary that he raised his head in order to see them from his porch. He immediately turned around to obtain his camera and estimated that it took him approximately 20 seconds, at which time the discs were almost directly over his apartment, and it was necessary that he stoop and look up almost perpendicular in order to obtain the photograph, which accounts for the porch railing being shown. Billy pointed out that the day on which he took the photograph, the weather was hazy and somewhat cloudy. End quote. After this, Billy went on to say that once the object got closer, he could see that it was black and in the shape of a disc. What's interesting about these documents is that there's so many of them detailing the same thing, strange crafts that have been observed by researchers and scientists. It's documents like this that have led people to say that we've been studying these crafts for nearly 100 years now, yet the public are still being kept in the dark about what these things are, where they are coming from, and how they are able to achieve the things they do. The phenomenon of unidentified flying objects has captured the human imagination for centuries, leading many to believe that these enigmatic objects have visited Earth throughout history. One of the earliest recorded UFO sightings dates back to ancient Egypt, a civilization known for its meticulous documentation of events. Hieroglyphs on the famous Tuli papyrus, which dates back to the reign of Thutmose III in the 15th century BCE, describe a strange celestial occurrence. According to the text, fiery discs were seen in the sky, emitting a brilliant light and exhibiting unusual movements. The sighting was recorded with great detail, including the location, time of day, and the reactions of witnesses. This early account suggests that UFOs have been a part of human history for millennia, raising questions about their significance and the nature of their visits to ancient civilizations. The Annunciation of Ezekiel. In the Hebrew Bible's Book of Ezekiel, there is a famous account often cited as an early UFO encounter. Ezekiel, a prophet living during the Babylonian exile around 593 BCE, described a visionary experience in which he witnessed a wheel within a wheel descending from the sky. The text goes on to describe the appearance of strange beings and a vivid, otherworldly encounter. While interpretations of Ezekiel's vision vary, some researchers argue that his description bears similarities to modern UFO sightings, with the wheel within a wheel possibly representing a flying, saucer-like object. This early account adds to the intrigue surrounding UFOs' presence in historical texts and beliefs. The Nuremberg Celestial Battle. On April 14, 1561, the residents of Nuremberg, Germany, witnessed a baffling celestial event that became known as the Nuremberg Celestial Battle. The event involved the appearance of various aerial phenomena, including cylindrical objects, crosses, and spheres, engaged in what appeared to be a fierce battle in the skies. Witnesses described the objects emitting smoke and fire as they engaged in this mysterious aerial encounter. The Nuremberg Celestial Battle was documented in the local newspaper, and artists of the time produced detailed woodcut illustrations depicting the event. While some explanations suggest natural phenomena or atmospheric anomalies, others interpret the event as a possible early UFO sighting, raising questions about the nature of these aerial objects. The Foo Fighters of World War II. During World War II, military pilots on both sides of the conflict reported encounters with mysterious aerial objects known as Foo Fighters. These objects were often described as glowing orbs or spheres that followed aircraft, exhibited extraordinary speeds and maneuvers, and emitted strange lights. The sightings were reported in the war diaries of various Allied and Axis pilots, raising questions about their origin and purpose. While some explanations have suggested natural atmospheric phenomena or secret military technology, the true nature of these early UFO sightings remains elusive. The history of UFO sightings stretches back millennia, with accounts recorded in ancient civilizations, religious texts, historical records, and military archives. These early encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena challenge our understanding of the cosmos and our place within it. While skepticism and debate continue to surround these accounts, they provide a compelling glimpse into the enduring mystery of UFOs and their presence throughout human history. The study of UFOs represents a quest for answers, a desire to unravel the enigma of these unidentified visitors, and an exploration of the unknown that spans across the ages. Over the past several years, there has been a surge in reports linking unidentified flying objects to the Navy. In 2007, the Department of Defense initiated the establishment of an exhaustive UFO research program. This program was specifically designed to collect crucial information regarding these enigmatic aerial phenomena, examining their origins and technological capabilities. The undertaking, known as the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, garnered substantial funding of $22 million and assembled a dedicated team of military intelligence officials, researchers, and individuals with the highest levels of security clearance. Its primary mission was to ascertain whether these unidentified flying objects posed any potential threats to national security.